recording and we're going. Okay, welcome everyone to the Council Club meeting for November. This Council Club meeting, we're going to be discussing very important information about rechartering. So Rob, I see you've just joined us. Well, he's joining now. I'll make you a co-host so that you can help me with administering people. So, okay, make co-host. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so these are the Council of Club meeting for November 16th, 2024. Here is our agenda. We're going to be talking about club rechartering. Then we're going to talk about the Council of Clubs and Club Development Committee upcoming elections, upcoming club special events, coping with the 2024 election results, suggesting a speaker, and other announcements. So that is what is on our agenda for today. With that in mind, are there any new club presidents or new clubs that would like to introduce themselves that have not been a part of this forum before? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to announcements from elected officials and party leaders. Are there any party leaders or elected officials present who would like to make an announcement? After the election, there's always a lot less announcements to be made. Hi, Deborah, go ahead and make your announcement. And thank you for being here.
No problem. Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Deborah Cunningham-Skurnick, Regional Director for Region 21. Encompasses most of San Diego, except for the parts that Michelle has. I have a little bit of Orange County and Riverside County. I held my regional meeting last Saturday, which is required before 30 days before our executive board, which is going to be virtual this year on Friday and Saturday, December 13th and 14th. And it gave a really nice forum for people to talk about, I guess, our frustrations of what happened a couple of weeks ago. And everyone spoke about what we did right, what we did wrong, what we can do better. And I know we're determined Democrats and we're going to not let this defeat us. So it was, anyway, a nice way to talk over different issues. Throughout San Diego, Riverside, and Orange County, we had some incredible people come to root our candidates on. President Bill Clinton, Governor Gavin Newsom, Hakeem Jeffries showed up. Then Pete Aguilera, Judy Chu, Ted Lieu. It was just incredible, and it was really uplifting for me for them to come to our areas and speak to us, as well as the Kadam leadership. Also, numerous times were in our general area. And I know in Orange County, and I'm assuming in San Diego County as well, membership in clubs just skyrocketed. I mean, we had one club now has over 500 members, another club over 750 members. So, but what we need to do, the hard part's going to be, is keeping that and making sure we build upon that in the future. For me, I was a delegate at the convention in Chicago, and it was so jubilant and fun and exciting. I was hoping that would have helped us a couple of weeks ago, but it didn't. But today I'm here to talk to you about ADEM elections. Yes, ADEM elections, people. We are next month. The application to run is going to be available. I believe that's December 9th. And I will be holding only two in-person elections. That's all we're required to anymore. There'll be one on Saturday, February 22nd in Mission Viejo from 10 to 2. The Sunday, September 23rd one will be in Escondido from 12 to 4. And the convener for that is Ross Pike. I know he is going to need some volunteers as well. And so I already mentioned December 9th. I'm going to email to you all the information with the time frame of when you have to fill out your application. And we also have to remember 2 years ago, we have to register to vote electronically or in person. And but for me, how many of you remember some years back where we had to hand count every one of those ballots? So doing it electronically is so much better. Kadem will be hosting a training on for candidates and voters Thursday, January 23rd and January 31st. I will be holding a regional training with a few other regions on Wednesday, December 4th. This is before the applications because I like to go over and answer questions and what is required to be an ADEM. So thank you very much. I hope everyone's getting some much needed rest and enjoy the beautiful day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Please email me all that information, Deborah, and I will happily send it out to the clubs. That's a lot of important stuff that we need to know. So, Greg, your hand is raised.
Yeah, hi, I'm Greg Robinson. I'm president of Labor Dems. But now I'm talking about the election that just took place for the County Board of Education. I was reelected, so was Lupe Gonzalez. But most excitingly, we have a new member, Aaron Evans, who's been elected to our board. Boy, are we going to need this kind of progressive unity. And the County Board of Education does have oversight throughout every school district in our community. And we've already met with the new, relatively new superintendent, Gloria Cerisa, the first Latina elected to that position, and what we're going to do to protect our most vulnerable kids now that we have the worst American presidency in history. There's a dedication on our group. We have resources to be able to do that, and it's a little source of hope going into this very dark period of time. We've got resources and the commitment to protect our LGBTQ kids throughout our communities, and particularly our children who are undocumented or have family members who are undocumented. They're coming after them, and we need to be there to help them out. And we've got a little institution with a little bit of power that can push back against it. That's a little sign of hope in these periods of time. I'm just going to end with a statement from a sociologist, a member of the community during fascism and the fight against it. He said, you know, during these dark periods of time, we've got to remember, only for the sake of the hopeless are we given hope. And so on those words, I'll end, and thanks so much for this victory that means so much for our kids. Thanks.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I had seen Gary Mead. Oh, I'm muted. Okay, thank you very much, Greg. Gary, I had seen your hand was up. Did you want to say something as well before we continue?
I just wanted to call out that we're celebrating our club's 10th anniversary this upcoming December 14th, and we'll post we have a Eventbrite page for it. If anyone would like to come, it's a $15 cover to cover some drinks and appetizers, and it's in over in Solana Beach, a wonderful view over the lagoon. And so we're pretty happy about 10 years. And, you know, of course, with everything going on, charting out our next, you know, our future, we're a little dismayed with the election, only one question about climate change. So we'll be wanting everyone's help to try to rally behind to see what we can get done. And of course, locally, the big issue for us is trying to get electric utilities to be, you know, non-profit. But, you know, come out and celebrate us with us if you can. We'll get the information out to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Gary. We will be talking about upcoming club events at the end of the meeting. So if anyone else has an upcoming club event, please hold it. They are very important, and that's why we have it on our agenda. But that is at the end. So thank you for that, and we're going to hold any furthers of those until the end of the meeting. Okay. With that in mind, who just spoke first was Deborah Cunningham Sternick. She is our Region 21 Director for the California Democratic Party, which is the northern half of San Diego Assembly District 71, 74, and 75. Our Region 22 Director is Michelle Krug, and that is the southern half of San Diego County, District 77, 78, 79, and 80. And no, it is not a clear, nice split because assembly districts are are strange creatures, but these are the two people that you can reach out to for information about the California Democratic Party. The next item on our agenda is club rechartering. So club rechartering, generally speaking, per the bylaws, is November 15th. When I thought about rechartering for the clubs I'm involved on November 15th, with everything that was going on with the election, I thought, oh, heck no. And I figured other club members felt that way as well. So we petitioned the e-board, and the e-board voted to extend the deadline to December 1st on this year, because everyone was just so, and by everyone, of course, I also mean me, overwhelmed with the election to deal with rechartering. But rechartering is important. It is done annually. And per the bylaws, we have to do it by December 1st, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. So in other words, anytime by December 1st. Now, December 1st is a Sunday. So I would highly recommend that you start rechartering during the week. Why? Because it's harder to reach county staff on a Saturday or Sunday, and it may be harder to reach me with questions about rechartering. So, I would highly recommend that you start the rechartering process now so that you don't have issues at the end. Along with the rechartering form, you're also going to need to submit a $48 rechartering fee to the party, a correctly formatted membership roster, a roster of elected officials, and any associate member forms. Now, those any associate member forms we're going to be talking about in just a second. That is super important. Okay. Because you have to have all these things in place in order to be eligible to vote at the January area club meeting. And this January area caucus meeting, the January area caucus meeting is super important, because that is when in your regional caucus, you're deciding who's the leadership of your regional caucus. So we want you to have the opportunity to take part in those votes. So in order to do this by December 1st, again, we have these forms that need to be submitted. There is the club, a club charter application form. So club charter application form has come out. It's not the same one as last year. It is a different link, very similar to the form you saw before. I'm going to go through it in just a second, but this is an Airtable form that we use for rechartering. And again, we're going to go through this whole thing in just a moment. There is also the online dues payments form. So you can either, some of the clubs only have checks. If so, that's fine. Go ahead and mail that check. Otherwise, you can pay your dues online. And to pay your dues online, just click on the club dues. It's a standard donation page for the San Diego County Democratic Party. They take Venmo, PayPal, credit card, any way you choose to pay, GPay, whatever works for your club. So you want to fill out the application charter form, which we're about to go over, pay those dues. The third component is the membership roster. The membership roster needs to reflect the current 2024 membership rosters. Why am I saying this? Because we have had the issue in the past that people have resubmitted their past year's membership roster without any changes. As we all know, that's not a thing. Club memberships change. People move, people drop out, people come in. You are not going to have membership roster in 2024 that you had in 2023. It's just not possible. And if we see that the membership roster is identical to the membership roster of a previous year, that membership roster will not be accepted. So this is the membership roster.
We just lost you.
So my apologies, my Zoom just went out and came back on. I hope nobody missed too much there, but I'm going to go ahead and reshare my screen. My internet seemed to have blinked. Okay, so this is the membership rechartering roster. You need to have at least 20 unique individuals listed. Those are individuals that are a member of your club that choose your club as their quote home club. Now, there's been some confusion about the home club concept, but you need to have 20 unique members that only pertain to your club in order for your club to be chartered with the San Diego County Democratic Party. So in order to do that, we list our first name, last name, the registered address, city, zip. This registered address, city, and zip are used for ADEMS, which is a separate registration process, but for the sake of chartering, we list it as well to identify people as real people. There's home phone, cell phone, and work phone. For my club, we just collect phone. So I always just put that in the cell phone spot. Email is the email that they can be reached at. Again, this is to verify that club members are indeed real people. Unfortunately, we have had some issues in the past where people did try to fake membership for clubs. So this is for identification purposes. The party will not use this information to contact anyone. This information is not uploaded to our party systems. Additionally, party. So when I say 20 unique members, it's not just 20 unique people. It's 20 unique Democrats or people who plan on registering them as Democrat when they are eligible to register. So for example, if you're working with a student club, many people may not be able to register already if they're under the age of 18, but as long as they're pledging to register Democrat when they register, they count for your 20 people. If you're working with a club and somebody is not yet a US citizen, so for example, in La Voz Demócrata, we have a number of people that are not yet US citizens. They say, well, when I am able to obtain my citizenship, I will register as a Democrat. They can count as registering members. However, if someone is registered NPP, they cannot count towards your 20 unique members, or if they are registered as Republican. So we ask clubs to look up their members if they don't already know their party affiliation. An easy way is to simply put that on your membership registration form. If you know on your membership registration form, are you a Democrat? If that's one of the questions, you don't need to do this. But you can look up in Vote Builder the party preferences of your members. And again, you just need 20 unique ones to register, but we want to get that party affiliation, because also to vote in your club business, only Democrats can vote on endorsement. You can have members of your club that are, or people that pledge to become a Democrat, right? You can have members of your clubs that are Republican or NPP. At Blue Dream Dems, we have some no party preference, members, but they cannot vote on the endorsements. So those are the important columns I wanted to call out here: party, email, cell phone. You should have access to Vote Builder for quick lookup your club. If you don't, go ahead and reach out to me or Maral, and we can make sure you have that. So if you can do that quick lookup, you can look up the members of your club on Vote Builder to see their party preference, if you don't know it already. So you want to get your club members' first name, last name, registered address. This is where they're registered to vote: home phone, cell phone, work phone, email, and party. Someone asked me the other day if it's okay if you have a club member who's registered outside of California, because they had a club member who had moved. That is fine. They won't count for the purposes of chartering, but you're welcome to have people in your club. Likewise, again, we have people in La Voz that are Democrats abroad from Baja California. They are also welcome to be members of our club. It is not specific to San Diego County. So Jim, you have a question?
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I have a specific question and then probably a general question. But while you're covering this, under the SDCDP required category, what does chartering mean?
Chartering is thank you. That's super important. That's the ones that you are counting towards your 20 members. So for example, at Blue Dream Democrats, I'm the president of Blue Dream Democrats. We have a number of members that are members of our clubs and members of other clubs. I don't count them towards my 20 members. So a chartering member is someone who's choosing your club as the home club. They want their membership to specifically be related to your club. So for example, I'm going to say Michelle Krug, our region director, right? She's a member of many, many clubs. I don't count her as a chartering member of Blue Dream Dems, even though she's a member of Blue Dream Dems, because I know she has 7 other club affiliations. So you're just going to put an X there for people that you consider to be your unique members, that you want to count as your unique members. We'll kind of balance it out at the party. Maral has a giant spreadsheet to make sure that we have the 20 members. And if somebody like Michelle is a member of 6 clubs, she'll pick the person, or myself, quite frankly, as director of clubs, she'll pick the clubs that most needs the membership in order to complete the requirements and put that person there. But we want you to self-identify who are your unique members. So a chartering member, you put an X there for somebody that you consider to be a unique member of your club that wishes to claim your club as their home club. So for
Okay.
example, I'm a member of many, many clubs, but I'm the president of Blue Dreams. So what do I put for my club? I am a chartering member of Blue Dreams. I want my membership to count towards Blue Dream Dems 20 unique members. Does that help?
Yes, it does. What is, continuing to the right, what does member type mean?
That is for club use only. I don't fill it out, quite frankly. Member type is if they are a voting member versus non-voting member in good standing. I
Wait. You said you don't fill it out?
haven't been filling it out in ours. I should
Why
probably
would-
have Merle if that's okay, but membership type is if they are, there's different clubs have different membership types, right? Some are simpler than others. Some have
Oh.
sustaining members and this, that, and the other. I haven't been utilizing that column. And the district one, I haven't been utilizing either. That's necessary for ADEMS, but it's not necessary for rechartering with the San Diego
But-
County Democratic Party. If you fill this out now, when it's time for ADEMS, it'll make your life easier. But I just submitted it for for Blue Dreams yesterday, and I didn't fill out the district. So unless they tell me otherwise, what's important is the chartering member. Here's officer title is if someone is a officer of your club. So for myself, obviously in my line, I put president for Blue Dream Dems. We do the same for the vice president and any other officers we have, and party is the party affiliation. So does that help?
Yes, it does, but that's listing the officer title is a duplicate of what you also just asked was for a special list of the officers. Do you
Yes,
need
it
both
is.
of those?
It's not, at least for my club, that isn't much of a burden. Yes, we ask for it in both places, but it's
It's not
only
much of
that
a
4 or
burden.
5 officers, so.
It's not a burden, it's just confusing. The major question is though, why does it have to be in exactly this format? We've got about 175 people on our listing. And I'm taking that Excel spreadsheet and converting it to the one that you are requiring here is a humongous task. Is that really necessary?
It is necessary because before we had a standard form, people were giving us memberships in many, many, many different ways. And it became very hard, especially when it became time to try to identify which clubs had unique members to do that. So we asked for this because we were getting PDFs, we were getting paper versions. I mean, there's so many ways this can be done and maybe shouldn't be done without, we needed to standardize it. We recommend to clubs when you're forming a club that you make sure that your membership sign-up form contains this information because it'll make it far easier when it's time to fill this out.
Yes, and we do that. Then why do you even want to know all this information about the individual people? I don't have any objection to it. I just can't figure out why you would need those all those names and addresses and whatnot.
So we had a situation quite a few years ago, not too many years ago, I was around for it, where somebody formed a number of clubs. They formed a Sherman Heights club and a Logan Heights club and a this club and that club, and they all were the exact same people. So they were to have 1 or 2 people that they were different for the president. They would have a different president, but the members were exactly the same. And this was a particular coalition of people that wanted to gain more influence in the Democratic Party. So this is why we do this. This is from the land of this is why we can't have nice things. This is why we do this, because without it, we had clubs being formed in the Democratic Party that were not valid clubs. So we have to verify that clubs do in fact contain real people that as their membership. So, okay. So Brenda Geary, your hand was raised next.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure for the record that in this one, we do enter every single member of our club, not just the unique members, not the, just the
Yes.
20 members. We're entering
Yes.
every single member. And then we're just, I would suggest putting the 20 at the beginning of the roster to make it easier. And then for what was the question for, sorry, I'm on my phone. For those of the For those members that I'm assuming it's just kind of a clean slate since we're rechartering and there's going to be so many, first time members or whatnot, we're not marking members like in good standing or anything, because like for some of like my club, you have to be a member for so long and you have to come to a certain amount of meetings. So having to mark all of those new members in good standing or not is like not
That's correct.
relevant. Okay.
That's not relevant for this. Absolutely. We did. Yeah, we have also at Blue Dream, we have some complex good standing requirements. That is not relevant to this. What we care about is how many members you have, not whether or not they've attended 3 or 5 meetings. That's internal to our clubs of how we vote. And that again is to preserve the integrity of our club internally. It's not necessary for the party. You want to mark more than 20 people for as chartering members. You want to mark anyone as a chartering member who you wish to be a chartering member. And the reason for that is, like as I was doing Blue Dream yesterday, I had one guy that I thought was a Democrat. I happened to look him up and realized he was an NPP. It's like, okay, never mind, right? And that happens. That happens. You'll find people that for whatever reason, you thought they were in good standing, but it turns out not in good standing. My apologies. You thought they were a qualifying chartering member and they're not. Or for example, I may think, okay, not to pick on Michelle, but Michelle Krug is a member of my club. She'll be one of my chartering members. Turns out 4 other clubs marked the same thing, right? So you can't guarantee that just because you marked them as a chartering member, some other club did not. You can't guarantee, for example, that somebody really is registered as a Democrat when they maybe not even knowingly didn't choose a party preference. Things like that, or they're registered as a green or something. So go ahead and select everyone you think is a unique member of your club for chartering. Don't limit it to just 20 people that you would to make the requirement, because there may be reasons why some of those people are disqualified from being one of your chartering members. They can still be your member. They still can have good standing in your club, but for the purposes of chartering, they have to be unique. So does that answer your questions?
Yes, and sorry, another quick question. I missed, did you say that every club president or club gets a chance to look in Vote Builder? We have the option to
Yes.
have it?
Yes.
Okay, and how do we request that access?
You can write to clubs@sddemocrats.org if you don't have that access already. And it's just a quick lookup. It's not to form lists, but you can look up individual people for the sake, and it is for this exercise. And it'll be used again when you're registering with ADEMS to verify that people are in the district and that they're Democrats. Again, this field here right now for district is optional, but then come time for ADEM, it will be required. So it's included here in case you want to start listing that information now. Okay, so Suzanne, your hand is raised.
Yeah, I'm looking at your screen, and under the section that says chartering, that on the one I just got, the form I just got yesterday, it says unique. Does it, and we've already filled out the one that says unique. I don't want to have to go through and fill out the whole thing over again.
We're going to work with you, Suzanne. Let's talk offline. For people that are downloading this now, use this now. We obviously want people to use this now, but I understand your problem, and let's chat offline about that.
All right, thank you very much.
Work with Morale and myself. We're not trying to be Gestapo here, but we just need a consistent format. So Robert.
Yes. So the column that says party.
Yes.
The bylaws and up and down all require that people be members of the Democratic Party. And so isn't this just redundant?
It depends on your club bylaws. So the Blue Dream Democrats, for example, is a cannabis advocacy club. We have people that sympathize with Democrats, appreciate our goals, but maybe registered again as a green or no party preference. They're allowed to be members of our club. They can come to our club social events. They're on our mailing list. They can't vote on endorsements unless they re-register as Democrats, but they can participate with our club. So
Okay.
that's where that party comes in. If your club's requirement is that everyone's a Democrat, yay, that makes that easy, right? But Blue Dream Dems,
Yeah.
we did have to look it up, and at least one member, I went, oh man, he's not registered as a Democrat. And
Okay.
again, he may not even know that. People don't always remember, where they registered. The DMV may have re-registered them, etc. So
Okay.
for
Okay.
what
Well,
it's worth, he wasn't registered as a Republican either. He was simply no party preference, but I didn't
Okay.
get to count him as a chartering member.
okay. Then the column that says member type, just to answer the, another way to answer the question that the first individual had about member types. We have a category called student membership, and we charge them a lower
Yeah.
fee, and so that would be something that I would think would go in that column, right? As a student member,
That's fine if you wish to utilize that. I'm not, again, I
the
didn't utilize
members.
this column. It's for your own organizational purposes if you're choosing to use it. If you'd like
Okay.
to utilize it, it can be useful, but I haven't utilized it in the Blue Dream one that I did yesterday, at least.
And then my last comment was, not to use Michelle's name in vain, but I know that I had no idea how many clubs, but I had the sense that she's members of various number of clubs.
Yes.
And I don't know if there's anybody else in our club that considers another club their quote unquote home club. I mean, how do we
So
figure that out?
yeah, for geographical clubs, that's less of an issue. You tend to have more people that are simply, members of your clubs. But Democrats for Equality, for example, has a lot of members that are members of other clubs as well. They also have a lot of unique members. I'm not worried about Dems for Equality rechartering, but that's an example of a club where the club members are members of other clubs. And actually Blue Dreams as well. We have affinity clubs in general tend to have more crossover members, right? But then you have your
Yeah.
base members. At Blue Dreams, we have people that have nothing to do with the party except us because their issue is very strictly drug policy, right? So, for geographic clubs, that tends to be less of an issue. But there are crossover members. So myself, for example, to use my name in vain, I'm a member of many, many clubs. As director of clubs, I love being a member of all your clubs. As many as ask me, I tend to pay the membership fee. But I am going to claim for the purposes of chartering Blue Dreams because we're a small club and we need those unique 20 members.
Okay. All right. So I mean, based on everything you've said so far, I'm thinking, well, I guess we need to have a new requirement on our membership form that says, will this be your home club? I don't know any other way to find this out.
A lot of clubs do that. A lot of clubs do that. Yes, that is a fair way of doing that. Yeah.
Okay, but it's another thing to do. But anyway, okay.
But for the most part, Robert,
it.
like you said, you can guess, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to get this perfect. We're just trying to get a general idea of who
Okay.
are the unique members of your clubs, right? So it doesn't
Okay.
have to be perfect. Morale's going to look at them all anyways. It's a guide
Okay.
for us
All
to
right.
say, okay, the club
Okay.
considers these to be unique members. It's less people we have to compare later on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And like you said, I mean, we inherently know who is, but there's probably half a dozen people. I have no idea.
Right.
Okay. All right. But
And luckily, I mean, East Lake Bonita is a rather large club, so I'm not concerned about you meeting this requirement. There are some clubs that are very, very small. Last time we rechartered 2 clubs, didn't have enough members to recharter. So for those clubs, this claiming of unique members becomes very, very important. I'm not worried about East Lake Bonita's ability to recharter. You are a very strong and healthy club. So I don't think this is going to be a concern.
Okay. We'll leave it at that then.
Okay.
So the first 20 people we should be sure about, though.
Yes. Well, the first is, I would say the first
gist that I got.
25. It's a bit like running for central committee. You want to get you
Okay.
need a buffer.
Got it. All right. I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dave, your hand is next.
Okay, at the Point Number Club, I know we have several members who are multi-club members, shall we call them,
Yeah.
by word of mouth, but there is no other way to identify them. And there's one person I just nominated for a position a few weeks ago. I didn't realize she was a member of more than one club until I asked. I didn't ask that
Mhm.
question. I asked her about joining or about working with us. And then a third member pointed out that she's also a member of another club. So if we make an error on this, I mean, you just strike that name and go on to the next numbers on the list, I presume, because
That's exactly right. This is
okay.
not, yeah, this is not do or die. This is a guide for us.
Oh,
It helps
okay.
us identify those 20 unique members. You won't
Super.
always know. When I was going through the Blue Dream Day list, I did exactly what Robert did. I said, okay, these people I see at other clubs meetings, these people don't have anything to do with the party besides our club, so I'll mark them. Right.
Okay. Another question. Are some of these questions going to be answered like on a list of instructions that goes out with this, or do we have to communicate this to the person who's doing the job?
Well, there's an email that came out already with instructions.
Oh, okay.
And those same instructions I'm including in the slideshow that I'm giving now. So, yeah, this is, they should have received that email already.
Okay, good enough.
Okay, David, your hand is raised.
Yeah, just a quick question. It used to be that way back in the day, for clubs that were not a local affinity club like East Lake Bonita, but rather a county-wide, like the Dems, Progressive Dems, or in my case today, the Environmental Dems. We have we would try and get 20 members for each local caucus so that we could have representation in every caucus.
That's right. Thank you for bringing up that point. Yes. For affinity clubs, you want to get 20 members in every caucus you can, so you can have representation in that caucus. That is absolutely the case. So yes, thank you. Thank you for reminding me of that. So yes. For affinity clubs, any caucus, then there's 5 caucuses: Metro West, South, East, North Inland, and North Coastal. Every caucus where you have 20 unique members, you get a seat at that caucus table. So that's a reason, again, to mark as many as possible, especially if you're affinity club, and to, and to collect those unique members. Yeah, thank you. Brenda, your hand is still raised. Is that from last time, or do you have another question?
No, sorry, I'll pick it.
Oh, great. Okay, so that is the roster, right? So yeah, so the roster will not be submitted. We want you to use this form. Another form or template will not be submitted. Again, Suzanne will work with you to help you reformat it. But we do want people to use this. And then the charter application, that's what we're going to go over next. And the member form. Okay, before we get to the charter application, I'm going to talk about the member form for a second. This is really important. We are going to have a reorg meeting in January. And at that January meeting for reorg, we want your club to be able to have a vote. Your club will only have a vote if you have a member who is listed, whether that's the president or somebody else who's your central committee representative, your regional caucus representative. So if you are the president of a club, you are going to fill this out for yourself. This also needs to be filled out by December 1st. Please have this filled out by December 1st so that the first area caucus meeting on January 14th, you are seated and you can vote, okay? So by December 1st, even though the meeting is until January 14th, normally it's 14 days ahead of a central committee meeting at the end of the year, it's by December 1st. We need you to have this form filled out. If you are the president, you fill it out for yourself if you are the person who will represent the club on central committee. Now, at Blue Dream Dems, I have not been the representative to central committee. So I don't fill this out for myself. I filled it out for someone else. So for our representative, I fill this out and I say, me as a president, I am designating that representative. And how do I do that? I come down here and I say club president, designating your club associate, someone other than yourself. If you're the president and you're the one who's the club associate, You're going to click this, voting alternate member joining. This is for someone that is joining. This is for the person. But for club president designating someone else, you're going to click this and designate that other person. And then after I click that and designate the other person also has to fill out this form. So for Blue Jean Dems, I've designated our representative, but she has to fill out this form as well. And I need to remind her to do that before December 1st, or we're not going to have a vote come December 1st, or come January 14th. So first, I will fill out this form as the club president. So I'm going to select this option. Then I will pass it to my representative, and she is going to fill out this form with this option, which is the voting alternate or associate member. Okay. So 2 people need to fill out this form if the president is not also the representative to Central Committee. And in some cases, the president is the representative of Central Committee. In some cases, it's not. Either way is fine. But you're going to have to fill out the form twice, one from the president and one from the representative, if the president is not the associate member at Central Committee. So this is again, by December 1st, super important member form. So Greg, your hand is raised.
Yeah, thank you, Senator. In January, the new Central Committee is going to take place. Could you just maybe say a few words as far as the club business, how it, what should we know about just general? We get quite a few new members of the Central Committee, and how it's going to work as far as club operations. Thank you.
Okay, so each regional caucus is going to have a new chair come January. There's going to be a chair election held. There will also be, depending on the caucus, maybe for, well, there will be an election for caucus secretary. Some of the caucuses do an election for pro tem. I'm not quite sure where we stand on that with all the caucuses these days, but for each caucus, the secretary and the president will be elected. And the clubs will have a vote in that if they have a member that has been registered by December 1st. So you need to recharter and do this by December 1st if you want to vote for your caucus leadership come January. Does that answer the question?
Thank you.
Okay, Michelle, your hand is raised.
Yes, I wanted to ask, I think that since I'm elected Central Committee already, that I need to appoint someone else in my club to be a Central Committee rep. Is that correct, Sonara?
That's absolutely correct. You don't have to, but you want to, because you already have your seat. So and in your seat, you're not bound. So by making someone else your club representative, that representative represents the will of the club, as opposed to you that is representing your will as an elected Central Committee member. So you're not bound to the votes of the club, they are, but you want your club votes to be represented on Central Committee. So again, just like in my situation, you're going to first fill this form out as club president. And on this form, you're going to designate who that person is. And then they are going to fill out the same form, and they're going to click voting alternate or associate member joining and serving. And both of those forms have to be submitted by December 1st.
Thank you.
No, not yet. They're not cold enough. Okay, Robert?
I'm still confused. So you stated, my understanding was that as president of East Lake Bonita, I have a vote at the South area
Yes.
caucus
Yes.
meeting, but I do not have a vote in the Central Committee meetings.
Correct. And when I'm talking about Central Committee, I'm talking about the caucuses. And my apology if I sometimes
Yeah,
use those
because
terms.
it's okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
I am speaking at
You
the
said-
caucus. The club only has a vote at the
Got it.
caucus. Michelle, as an elected member, will have a vote both at the caucus and the Central Committee, but that is not through our club. Clubs only have votes at the caucus. So,
Mhm. Okay,
sorry
Okay.
for the confusion.
got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. David? Is your hands raised from
Yeah.
before?
There. Oops. There, I'm unmuted. Sorry, this sounds like an ignorant question, but does the Central Committee meet monthly?
The
Throughout the year?
regional caucus and the Central Committee separately meet monthly, and the regional caucus where your club has a vote meets monthly. So you need to appoint someone who has the availability to attend, because there are attendance requirements for the regional caucuses. If your
Okay.
club representative does not meet those attendance requirements, I have to remember exactly what it is, but I think it's, what is it, 2 or 3 meetings that they miss, then the club will not have a vote, central committee. So
I see that alternates are allowed for it. Is it possible for the alternates to accompany the representative? No.
we do not get alternates. Alternates are for elected members of central committee. Clubs only has their voting club representative. We don't have an alternate. So if you need this, if you realize that the person you've appointed to be the central committee representative now has a conflict, and that happens, you can appoint someone else to be your central committee representative. But do that before they miss the meetings, not after they miss the meetings. Because that
Well,
will
I was thinking, well, conceivably you could have an illness or an unexpected emergency or something call you out of the city.
Yes, we
Um,
have an excuse form for that. We have a form where people can ask to have their absence forgiven. So if something happens in unexpected circumstances, the e-board regularly by rote just approves that. So
Okay.
yeah, we've had babysitting issues, illnesses on a plane, you know, any reasonable reason is fine, really. But if we notice it's becoming a pattern, or you know, the person doesn't fill out that form to excuse the absence, then that can be a problem for your club representation.
Okay, so if the representative cannot be there, that vote is just lost for that particular meeting.
That's correct, as long as they fill out the absence excuse form.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Michelle, is your hand raised from before, or do you have another question?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Robert, is your hand raised before?
Oh, sorry, same. I'm done.
Any other questions on registering your associate member? And again, clubs do not have alternates, so pick someone that you believe has the time availability to do this, that doesn't have a conflicting commitment. Okay, so now onto the main chartering application, which I probably should have gone to first, but you know. So this is our rechartering application. It is not the same as before. We had a slightly different chartering application before. So, okay. Before I get there, I had 2 questions that are the same in the chat, which is, what if some people are listed as members of 2 different clubs as chartering members? That's fine. The party will work that out. We're asking you to indicate who you think is a chartering member. If you know, 2 clubs list the same person as a chartering member, we'll do our best to allocate that person to the club that most needs a second chartering member. So, okay, so the San Diego County Democratic Party Club Chartering Application 2025. If you have any questions, call the office or email clubcharters@sddemocrats.org. Again, this is due by December 1st, so please try to do this prior to December 1st. We want to make sure you have all this in prior to December 1st, because that is a weekend. So we want you to be doing it in the days before that, so that staff has a chance to respond. So for most of us, this is going to be renewal of a chartered club. So I'm going to, again, just kind of do this as if it were Blue Dreams. I'm going to go through this with you. So Blue Dream Democratic Club. So if you are a renewal of a chartered club, your name should appear in this list, right? You look here, and this is the list of all the clubs. So if the name, so let's check. I'm going to see Ramona Democrats. That's our newest club. You're on the list. Yes. Checking to see if South Bay National City Democratic Club, another newer club, you're on the list. If your club name for whatever reason doesn't appear on the list, contact staff, but it should appear on the list. Now for new charters, I know the Ramona Democratic Club just went through that. You click new club and you put the club name. But for renewals, you're going to select your club name. Then, is your club geographic, affinity, constituent, or academic? Geographic clubs are exactly that. It's based on geography. Affinity is Blue Dreams, Progressive Dems, Dems for Equality, etc. Those are some examples of affinity clubs, and academic is a club associated with a high school or university. Okay, select the area. So Blue Dreams is an affinity club. This is where the area where the club charters. Now for affinity, we get to choose where we put our first chartered member. In the past, Blue Dreams is chartered with Metro West because that's where many of our members live. We also have members, however, maybe today a majority of members in South. So we get to choose which of these areas we wish to be our primary chartering location. And this is important because that's where we get our votes at our regional caucus. So this is which regional caucus we will pertain to. If you are the president of a geographic club, this will be the region of your geography. There's no question there. East Lake Bonita, for example, is going to be in the South, and Demco is going to be North Coastal. You don't have the option, but with Blue Dreams, I can choose. So in the past, we've chosen Metro West. Club EIN number. This is something that has gotten clubs in, sometimes a bit of a problem before, finding this EIN number. If you don't know your EIN number, myself and Maral have your EIN number from your previous charters. So feel free to reach out to us if you need help finding your EIN number, okay? FPPC number. This is if your club has a PAC. Blue Dream Dems does not have a PAC, so I will not be putting an FPPC number for Blue Dream Dems. I'm just going to write a random number here for our EIN number, right? This is not our EIN number. We don't have an FPPC number. We don't have a PAC, so I'm going to skip that. When does Blue Dream Dems meet? I'm going to say we meet on the third Monday of the month. That is the case. You can write this out in whatever form you like. I could have also written third Monday. That would have been fine as well, but make it something that we can understand, right? Meeting time. We start our meetings early. We start our meetings at 5:30. So I'm going to write that in. What type of meetings? Blue Dream Dems happens to be a virtual meeting. We also have, there's clubs that do only in person and clubs that do hybrid. So La Voz Demócrata, for example, does hybrid meetings. If you do a hybrid meeting or a virtual meeting, you're going to write your Zoom link down here. So I'm going to put virtual again for Blue Dream Dems, and I'm going to put in, my Zoom link. This is not it. I need to do what my real Zoom link is, and maybe I should pull that up on my calendar. But yeah, but that is the link that we use for Zoom on our calendar. So we're going to be talking some more about the calendar later. Really important. The information on your rechartering form will be submitted to this calendar. This is the calendar of your upcoming club meetings, right? So I'm going to go to agenda here. I know my next Blue Dream Dems meeting is tomorrow, Monday. This is our link. This is our link to register. It's been our link for a long time. If you are not utilizing Zoom, don't worry about filling in the Zoom link. The Zoom is only for hybrid or virtual meetings. If you're meeting in person, you don't need to bother doing that. So, oops, I have this open twice. Okay. Okay, also to the calendar. We want you to be able to maintain your own calendar. So here we have this Gmail address for calendar maintenance. This is the Gmail address that I'm going to add to that calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and show this right now. People have had a lot of questions about the calendar, and I owe the Imperial Beach secretary a call back about that specifically. When I look at my calendars at Gmail, I see chartered club meetings. Okay, you're not going to see that. You're just going to see your one. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go display only. Okay. So today I have the Council of Club meetings, and then I have the Blue Dream Democratic Club meeting coming up on the 18th. Why is that listed on my calendar? Because my address has been added to this calendar entry. So I can maintain these meetings going forward. I can't add new meetings. If you need to add new meetings, ask us to help you do that. But I can move the time of the meeting. I can change the meeting because my email address, sonara@communityengagementresources.com, has been added to this calendar Google invite. This is what gives me the ability to alter the Blue Dream Democratic Club meetings because I have been added to the Blue Dream Democratic Club meetings on my calendar. So, yes? No, I can't hear anything. But... Hello? Okay. So bluedreamdems.org. That is probably, I think, the Blue Dream Democratic Club email. I have to remember. So usually you want to give it to the Gmail account that is associated with your club email, right? So my club email for Blue Dream Democrats is bluedreamdemocrats@gmail.com. You want to use a Gmail email because only a Gmail email can update the calendar invites. So this is how you get control of your calendar on our chartered club meeting calendar, because you have been invited to edit that meeting. Is this making sense to everyone?
Okay, sort of.
Okay, I know. It's a little bit confusing, but this is the Gmail account you're using to maintain the calendar of meetings for your club that are shown on our chartered clubs calendar. So on the website, we have a chartered clubs calendar where we have all the upcoming meetings of Democratic clubs. Okay. And you can maintain this calendar. You can change the time and date of those meetings through the Gmail account listed here. Okay. Coming up above that, the name of the president. Okay, I'm just going to go through. This is I know that you know, we just did this on the roster, so it's a bit repetitive, but I'm entering my phone number, my email. This is my email separate from the club email. This is the email of the president, not of the club itself. Okay, so this is my email other than the club email. The club email is listed separately. When is the officer elections? Okay, here we pick a month. Our officer election is in January. Okay, Robert, your hand is raised. And you're on mute. Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
This goes back to where you were talking about clicking virtual meeting or whatever, hybrid. We started doing virtual. I mean, we started doing hybrid again, you know, in about the middle of the year. We weren't doing hybrid for about 6 months or so. We chose not to do hybrid for our November meeting because we didn't want the associated complications with election of board. So can we click more than one, or how do we do that?
Pick the one you use most frequently. I recognize that,
all
you
right.
know, it's challenging. It's whether or not you have someone to help you facilitate the hybrid meeting sometimes, right?
Exactly. Right.
So if you're consistently doing hybrid, click that.
Okay.
If you're not consistently, just do it in person so that there's less confusion.
Okay, so we won't get in trouble later
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, it's not about getting in trouble. We're just trying to
No.
put accurate information on our calendar, because here we have a calendar of all these meetings, and we
Mhm.
want people to know how they can come to the meeting. And if the meeting is via Zoom or has the option of being via Zoom, we want to list that, right? So this is for the calendar. There's no gotcha. This isn't a, you know, this isn't a requirement for any other reason besides to make your meetings accessible.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'll lower my hand.
So after this, we have just some basic requirements that we want people to agree to. David, yes, your hand is raised. You're on mute.
On the club calendar there,
Mm-hmm.
are we expected to go in each month and update that for the program for that month, or is
No.
that? No.
No.
Okay.
I mean, you can if you'd like. It's a good way to advertise, but you know, we all have a lot to do. This is what's generally published every single month unless we feel like including in a program.
Okay.
So oftentimes with Levos, we do include the program in here because it's useful to us, but it's not mandatory that you do anything like that. It can
Okay.
be useful for people that may want to see your meeting and, you know, and join. And I'm noticing now my screen sharing was stopped. Okay, my screen sharing started again. I don't know how long my screen sharing was stopped, but okay. So I put in my phone number, I've put in my email address, my name. This is all the information for the president. This is if someone at the party needs to reach you about what's going on in the club. That's what the point of this is. Robert, your hand is raised again.
Yeah, back to the question about the calendar. I went into the calendar and I for December it had our regularly scheduled second Thursday of the month general meetings there
Mhm.
on the calendar, and I wanted to, and I put in our holiday party
Okay,
is the same day, and I couldn't delete the other notification that was there.
okay, what day was it? Let's use this as an example.
That was Thursday, December 12th. Sorry.
December 12th. Okay, so we're gonna go here to December 7th. 12th. So this is, again, I'm looking at the Chartered Club calendar. This is everyone's information. So what I do is not delete it, by the way. We don't want to delete it, you want to change it. So the
Okay.
email account associated with this is eastlakebonitademocrats@gmail.com. So
Uh-huh.
you wanted that to be the Google session, the Google account you are in to make changes. And then here, I would say, don't delete this, change it. Change the information to say, change the information to say holiday party, put where the holiday party will be, and put information about the holiday party in the body. And actually, I'm really glad you talked about that, because later in the program, we are going to be talking about exactly this. What I'm
Okay.
asking you to do, I'm going to be asking every club to do, because it's going to be really important in trying to not have too many conflicts with our holiday parties. So please, I invite you to come in to your meeting, change that meeting. If you're having trouble, you can always email us. Maral and I will help by updating the calendar if we can. But if you can do it yourself, you'll probably have a better chance of getting it right than we do. So if you can edit this yourself, we appreciate it. We ask that you don't delete meetings off the calendar, because that can become confusing. You might accidentally delete all the meetings. Things can go wrong when you delete. So when you're not having a meeting in that month, we ask that instead you write canceled and then continue with East Lake Bonita Democratic Club meeting if it were canceled. In your case, I wouldn't even do that. I'd update the title of this. I go to edit event and I'd update this to say East Lake Bonita Democratic Club holiday party. Just change the existing event. Don't delete it. You don't need a secondary event. So for example, for Blue Dream Dems in December, we are having our joint potluck that we're always very proud of on December 15th. This is our joint party with allied officio groups. Yeah, anyone who gets the joke, these are a lot of dad jokes, but I took our December meeting and I updated it from being our December meeting to the Blue Dream Democrats joint potluck with SD ASA and SD Normal. So this is our annual potluck with allied cannabis advocacy groups. And I changed the meeting from hybrid to be a physical address, and the date from being Monday, which would have been Monday, December 16th, to Sunday, December 15th. If any of you would like to join us to our potluck, and we'll be talking more about that later. So Bill Fowler, you have a question?
Yeah, I've never been able, I've never been able to share on the calendar.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, when you say Gmail account, our account is a Gmail account. It's just, it doesn't say gmail.com though. It uses our domain.
That's fine. That's fine. That should work.
Okay.
So
Okay.
let's
So
talk later. I know we can
yeah.
spend hours
Okay.
on this.
That's all right.
Yeah, let's talk later. I do want to help you resolve that, but we can spend a long time on the calendar change, and we need to get through the chartering. So changes to club president after chartering. Within 30 days of an election, you're going to do a club president change. So for example, Blue Dreams is coming up in January. I'm not running to be president again. So, that's going to be a change. And within 30 days of our election, we are going to need to resubmit the change. Just inform them we don't have to redo this entire form, but we have to inform the party of who our new president is. And we ask all clubs to accept that. So this is just something we want to make sure that clubs are affirming that they will do, right? Now on to the associate member. Okay, provide the name of the associate member. So the associate member has been Dallin Young. So I'm going to put Dallin Young's name in there. So he is not the club president. He is the club vice president. So I am the individual completing this form. Yes, I am the club president, but the associate member is Dallin Young. And I am not designating myself as the associate member. I am designating someone other than myself. And then right here, here's that link to that other form. And cancel, I don't want to do that. I'm going to do it in a new tab. It's right back to that form that we have to submit by December. I will fill it out as myself. Dallin will fill it out as himself to become the associate member for Blue Dreams, okay? So I will ask the associate member to complete the membership form. So again, I need to fill out the membership form as myself as president, and then Dallin needs to fill out the membership form. And this is only because I'm designating someone else. If I were to designate myself, all that would go away. Only I have to fill out the membership form. But because I'm designating Dallin, I have to designate him. Now, it asks us to indicate how the associate member is picked by a club. So in the club bylaws, in the individual club bylaws, you should have something about how the associate member is picked. And again, not to pick on Blue Dreams, but it's my club, so I can. In our bylaws, it says that the associate member is selected by the president, right? So that I go here to the bylaws, I open up our bylaws, and I can see in our bylaws that associate, okay, right here. So it's in officer duties. So it's in section IX, article IX, section 1D. So I'm just going to go in and write that in there. Section 1D. So this is just an indication of where in the bylaws I can find that information. Affinity Club additional associates. As David Wright correctly pointed out, if an affinity club has more than 20 members in a caucus, other than their principal caucus, they can have an additional associate. So this is the names of the additional people who are associates. In the past, we had Jose Rodriguez was our South Region associate. I'm just going to add that in there. Okay. Now, the truth is today we don't have a South Region associate for Blue Dream Dems. We just have one region. South Region associate. But in the case that we did have two, I would write in Jose Rodriguez because he's been our associate before. Go team liaison. This is super important to the Go team because they want to be able to work with the club, right? The Go team liaison can be another member of the club, an officer of the club, or it can be a separate person. So in the case of Blue Dream Dems, because I was a Go team regional coordinator for a while, I also volunteer as the Go team liaison. So I just list myself again. Now you may have a separate Go team liaisons. Lots of clubs do, and it's probably good practice to have a separate Go team liaison than the club president. But we're a small club at Blue Dream, so I volunteer to be the Go team liaison. So if Pete Babich and the Go team need someone to talk to about Go team matters, they can talk to me. That's what that information is for. So for communications, okay, very important. We want the club's website, we want to know, okay, so club email should be non-personal. The club president or designee and the phone number will be listed on the directory, right? So this is in the directory of clubs for the party. I'm going to go back here to the party website. We have a directory of clubs, which is great because it's a way that people can find out about your clubs. So under Democratic clubs, find a club. Here we have this list of the clubs. And here we list phone numbers and emails. Because club members can change and because of people's privacy, we don't want to list a personal email here. This should be an email specific to the club where people can reach the club, right? So this section of the chartering form is to fill out this spreadsheet. And here we go, back to the chartering form, the name to be used in the club directory. So yeah, if for Blue Dream Dems, I'm the president, I'm going to put my name to be added to the club directory. The email that will be shown in the club directory is not going to be my email. We do have a Gmail account, but now we also have our own domain. So Blue Dream dems.org, just because I feel like that is a little more professional than my Gmail, but you can list a Gmail. There's no problem using a Gmail. Club phone number. I had to get a new club phone number because our Blue Dream Dems Google voice number expired. That's been a problem for me lately. So I have a Google voice number for Blue Dream Dems. Here's my new Google voice number. I'm going to copy and paste that. So the directory is currently incorrect because it had our old one, and then my club webpage. So again, back to Blue Dream Dems, my example. Here's our club webpage. So all of this information is exactly what it will be displayed here. So here's my entry for Blue Dream Dems based on the information that I've entered today. We are in Metro West. I'm the president. This is the old phone number. Need to update that. That is the Gmail address, which also works. The Gmail and the domain one are connected. And here's our website, which will take you again back to that website that I just showed on the other page. Okay. So there's the information about my club, the club website. Facebook URL. I include a Facebook URL because I can. We have a Facebook page. We use it. So if I go over here to Blue Dreams, Blue Dream, I'm not remembering my Facebook right off the top, but there it is. Facebook Blue Dream Democrats. Put that over here. Club mailing address. Now, lots of clubs use a PO box. We don't have a big budget. So the club mailing address happens to be my mailing address. It's just someone who's willing to receive mail on behalf of the club. So oftentimes it's the secretary's mailing address. It can be a PO box if your club is willing to incur that cost, but it's a mailing address where we can send notices via mail. This has never happened, by the way. I don't get anything at this address for Blue Dream Dems except bank statements. So there's the mailing address. Okay. Membership is open to all registered Democrats, yes or no? So yes, and by the way, these are requirements. We expect you to answer yes to all of these questions. If you answer no, we're going to have a talk about how we can bring the club into compliance. The register has at least 20 Democratic members who are Democrats or intend to register as Democrats. We've spoken about that. Individuals that are registered as other than Democratic Party or non-voting members. So like I said, I identified an individual yesterday when I was filling out the Blue Dream Dems chartering form who we thought was a Democrat. It turns out he was no party preference. So if he was going to try to vote on a future matter, it would be, sorry, you can't vote. I don't think he's ever voted anyways. He just like coming to our socials. So at least 2/3 of the members, both members and non-voting, are registered Dems or intend to register as Democrats. Yes. So for high school clubs or clubs that have a lot of non-citizens, the intention to register as Democrats is what's important. So I believe, for example, almost 2/3 of the members are registered Dems, but we have a very large constituency of members who are not yet eligible to vote. It is sufficient that they intend to register as Dems. Only registered Democrats or those who intend to register as Democrats may serve as officers or vote on club business. So again, our member at Blue Dreams who is registered as an independent, he's not going to be voting on anything until he re-registered. And I'm pretty sure his registration was... People don't always know. People don't always know that they're not registered. So you can ask them to re-register, and I'll probably ask him to re-register as well. Clubs that meet at least quarterly, the club that meets at least quarterly, meeting dates, times, and locations are provided the SDCDP 14 days in advance of the meeting. Yes. Okay, I highlighted this in my last email to you all. This quarter is October, November, December. A lot of clubs skipped a meeting in October because we were too busy campaigning. A lot of clubs are skipping a meeting in November because it was right before the election, or we're too exhausted from the election. Then you better meet in December because you have to meet once per quarter. There is no waiver for this requirement. So please, even if your meeting is simply a meeting at the beginning of your club social, the Blue Dream Dems have done this in the past, for the reasons I just stated. We were too busy in November and October and November electioneering to hold a meeting. And then December is our social. What did we do? We had a social with a meeting at the beginning. Our meeting was called to order. We registered that we were all there, and our order of business was to have a party. Yay, meeting done. That is sufficient. I'm not trying to play gotcha with everyone here. We don't want to do that. As long as you're, genuinely operating this, yeah, this is not meant to be a hard requirement. We just want to make sure that clubs are meeting. So please meet between October, November, and December, even if it's a perfunctory meeting. Clubs shall endorse only Democrats. That's a given. These are rules for clubs in the bylaws, by the way, that we're just reinforcing in the renewal process. Non-Democratic candidates may only be rated as acceptable or unacceptable. Yes. Okay, full membership is given notice of an endorsement at least 14 days in advance. Reasonable attempts are made to notify the candidate. So we're just reminding clubs of what the rules, your rules of governance are. Endorsements shall not be construed as county endorsements. Any publication with the endorsement of a club shall delineate between endorsed candidates and those rated acceptable. Approvals to a bylaws or the constitution of a club needs to changes to a club bylaws shall be voted on by all members in good standing. Okay, that's yes. Yes, the bylaws need to be approved by the members. Definition of members in good standing. You have your own definition, but that you follow it. Requirements for the CDP representatives are members in good standing. Now, this is all about rechartering with the party. Separately, you will be rechartering with the California Democratic Party. It's not rechartering, it's called registering, so you have a vote there. This is acknowledging that you understand their requirements. The club has clubs@stdemocrats.org on all club email list, and will copy email address on all notices, agendas, and minutes for business meetings or endorsement meetings. So the easy way to do this is just add clubs@stdemocrats.org to your mailing list. We all have a mailing list. Please add that email address so that the party is aware of upcoming business of the clubs. Confirmation of bylaw requirements. As it says, if all of these requirements above are not met, you will not be able to charter. So all those things we have to be doing, and we have to be clicking yes. Here's where you upload that roster template we've been talking about. So you're going to go browse here, and I'm going to browse, and lo and behold, I did this. Here's my roster template. I can upload it here, right? So that's so Blue Dream Dems. I actually did this yesterday. So here we have the 2025 club roster. I upload this, and away we go. Upload one file. Okay, it can take a second, but. Okay, Suzanne, your hand is raised.
Yeah, on my version that I worked on yesterday, I was unable to upload anything. And I have contacted Morale about that, and she's working on it, but apparently that's true for not just me.
Okay, I was able to do this yesterday, but I did have a problem that I had started it and then she made some changes. So I got stuck in this refresh loop, and I had to shut everything down and start it up again and enter all the information, which wasn't fun. But I think it's because we were kind of ahead of the curve. Hopefully that won't happen going forward, but I appreciate that you're already working with Morale on it. I mean, the important thing is Suzanne got this started very early, which is good. It helps Morale and it helps myself to work through these issues now instead of later. So thank you, Suzanne. I appreciate that you're already working with Morale. If you need additional help from me, let me know, because these forms aren't perfect. Now,
All right, thank you very
President
much.
Nora,
Mhm.
this is Jordan Yimby Dem. Sorry, it won't let me raise my hand, and I'm not able to
Okay.
message you on the chat. It says
No
because
problem.
SDCPD isn't on, but the same is for me. I've tried uploading our bylaws multiple times with PDF, Word doc, and it's not working.
Okay. Okay. So have you contacted Morale about that?
No, but if we're all having the same problem.
Yeah. Well, I did it yesterday and I just now did it. So I'm not sure why that's happening. And I'd love to work with you on this today, but today's my daughter's birthday. So I maybe I should make some office hours later. Yeah. So I won't have a lot of time today to help resolve this or the calendar issues, but I think I need to make some office hours in the next few days in order to do that, because I completely feel that you're having problems, and maybe if we get on a Zoom, we can work through it together. But as you saw, I did just do it successfully. So at
Can you
least
try with the bylaws part?
Sure. So bylaws, I did this yesterday with bylaws as well. And I had some issues yesterday. I think, again, she made some changes maybe in the middle of this. So this is a PDF. Go ahead and add that there. Upload one file. When I uploaded it yesterday, I uploaded it as a Word doc, and I also connected it from Google Drive. I did both because I had to do it twice because of the refresh issue. But there it goes. So
Yeah, it's not letting me do any of that.
Okay, so yeah, work with Morale or work with myself, and yeah, I'm really grateful that you both are doing this early so that we can work through these issues. What's really hard is when someone's trying to do this Sunday at, super late, we don't have a chance to fix things. Indranil?
Yeah, I think I may have a technical fix on this one.
Okay.
Jordan, are you uploading these with is there an extension at the end of your file, like a docx or .pdf?
Yeah.
Yes.
There is? Okay. Then I don't have a technical fix, but sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought that could work. My bad.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll work with you both to get this resolved. Jordan, if you wouldn't mind sending email to clubs@sddemocrats.org, or better still, the club chartering. That's the email that, well, Maral put club chartering and Maral in here. But basically reaching out to Maral to let her know you're having issues, because obviously you're making a good faith effort, and I don't want to stand that in your way of rechartering because you are having technical difficulties, especially this early in the game. So please work with us. And if we see that it, hopefully whatever fixes your problem and Suzanne's problem will fix other people's problem too, because unfortunately I'm not seeing it. It's working for me at this time. So here we're asking people to list the names of the club officers. I know this was already done on the chartering form. I know already I said was the president, but I'm going to list it again. So Sonara Velasquez, Alan Young, vice president. So I'm just here listing all of my officers and their title. Jessica McElfresh is the secretary, is the treasurer. Virginia Casey is our secretary. Okay, and then we have 2 at-large officers. And they are Robert Moreno and Nancy Estolano. There we go. Okay, so there, I'm just listing it. Doesn't need to be in any particular format. Our bylaws were last updated in 2003. 2023. So I'm just putting when that was updated. The club dues I paid via the link, or you can send in a check. That's absolutely fine. Academic clubs do not have to pay that. I paid it yesterday. So I'm putting that there. And then here's the name of the applicant. This is just internally for our use. So if we see something missing from the form, we can contact the person who created the form. In this case, again, this is my information, but this could be someone else. Oftentimes club secretaries do this. So, and so I'm just adding my own information, but if someone else was generous enough to have filled out this form in our club, I would not put that. And at this point I would click submit. Now I'm not going to click submit because I clicked submit yesterday, so I don't want to confuse Morale, but she's going to be like, why are you submitting twice? But I've gone through the information for my club. Okay, at this time, besides the issues that, are clearly valid and we want to help you fix, Jordan and Suzanne, does anyone have any further questions? Paula, your hand is raised. You're on mute, Paula. Paula, your hand is raised, but I cannot hear you. You're on mute.
Here it is.
There you are.
I'm sorry for that. You mentioned a name to contact when we have problems. Morale or somebody, can you give me that person's name?
Morale, bye-bye. And her address is Morale at sddemocrats.org. I'm going to put it in the chat. It's also listed in the presentation and in the email that you have received. Would people appreciate it if I resent to the clubs our rechartering email? I can resend that to everyone if that would be something that you would like. I might just do it now, just so you all have it. It has the information that I just put in the presentation. I want to make sure everyone has it. Yes. Okay. Okay. So rechartering. Let's do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm just going to resend this. I'm gonna resend this to everyone right now, so apologize to those that who are like, why am I getting respammed by this? But better you all have the information than you don't. Instructions on rechartering. Okay, I'm just gonna forward this on to everyone. Very much appreciate you all being here and taking the time to review this with us all today. So here we go. As soon as I can get all my Zoom stuff out of the way, I will press send. There you go. Okay, great. So I've just resent that to everyone here. Hopefully that will help. Let me go ahead and resume my screen share. Okay, wonderful. Okay, and it can also be found in our agenda. All this information is from the email is also in our agenda. So Lee, your hand is raised.
Yes, thank you, Sonara. Hey, I've got a number of questions. The first one's a stupidity question. Black Mountain Dems, are we still in Metro West? Or are we part of North Inland? I thought we'd been changed this past year.
I don't think you've changed. It's by zip code, and I don't think we've updated our zip codes. So wherever your club is registered by zip code, it's where your zip code falls. And I don't
Okay.
think there's been any change besides the splitting of North Coastal, North Inland to the zip code.
Okay. The second one is I filled out, or I sent in, I did this yesterday. I should have waited for this meeting first. I sent in the wrong format for the roster for the club.
Okay,
And obviously, I will redo that in the correct format.
thank you.
Can I just send that to you, or do I need to resubmit the whole application for rechartering?
Can you ask Merle, send her an email with
Okay.
the corrected? We really appreciate you redoing that form and
sure.
the Excel sheet. And yeah, just email it to Merle and ask her if she would like you to resubmit the whole thing.
Okay. And then I identified myself as the representative to the Central Committee, but then I also selected an alternate, assuming that that would be the person, if I couldn't go, she could then step in and do it. Is that wrong or?
Yeah, we don't have alternates. So that you
Okay.
selected somebody is neither here nor there. I wish we
Okay. Yeah.
It would be nice if clubs have alternates, but we don't. We have one
Okay.
central committee rep, and that's that. So
Okay. I'll
if
reach
you-
out
if it's-
tomorrow then.
yeah, and
Thank
if
you.
at some point you wanted to redesignate it to be her permanently, that's fine too. Like, I'm not the representative for Blue Dreams. I never have been. So, you know, I'm grateful that Dallin has done that on our behalf.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, wonderful. Well, with that in mind, I think we're ready to move on to the next topic. Upcoming club development elections. So I'm very sad because I really enjoy being your director of clubs. But I also really enjoy my daughter who's turning 10 today. And being director of clubs is a lot of meetings. I've done my best to make each and every one of your meetings. I know I failed for a few of you. I'm sorry, Valley Center. I have never made it out there. I've told my family I'm going to give them more time. So I'm not running to be a director of clubs come January. And we also have other positions that will be up in January, and I'm going to talk now about when those elections will be. So today, director of clubs is myself, and Metro West is your club development representative is Intranil Banerjee. North Coastal is Rob Howard. North Inland is Hugh Grant. East is Kira Green. South is Christine Antoine. And then at large, we have Justin Domicello and Domicillo, I never quite get it right, and Deanna Aguirre. So this is the board as it sits today. All these positions will be up for re-election in January, but not at the same meeting. So at the Council of Clubs meeting in January, there will be an election for Director of Clubs and the 2 at-large Club Development Committee representatives. So these are these 2 positions and myself. Okay. So if you know of anyone who would like to run, I don't need to know about it in advance. It can be announced from the floor. I wouldn't mind knowing about it in advance if you'd like to talk it over with me. You know, I just hope whoever inherits takes on this position does it with gusto. I hope they, you know, represent and advocate for the clubs at the e-board. That's very much needed. We need to be represented and advocated for. Oftentimes, yeah, I feel like that advocacy is very much needed in terms of when our endorsements happen, in terms of making sure that things don't conflict with club activities. We need that representation on the e-board. The director of clubs obviously also leads the Council of Clubs meeting. I've been doing a club summit once a year. That's something new. The next person doesn't have to do that, but I hope they do it. We also mediate disputes when there's an ethical dispute involving clubs. It comes to us first before the ethics committee. We try to resolve things at the club level. So we deal with club complaints. So those are some of the things that are part of the director of club role. Other things that are part of the director of club role, at least the way I did it, was going to the clubs. I do my best to make all the club meetings at least once a year. Again, I haven't always done that. There's 55 clubs, but I do try. I try to interface with you as much as possible. And I would like the next person to do that as well, to be there and going to the club meetings and advocating for you on the e-board. So it's a lot of work, and I found it very rewarding. So just want to kind of put that job description out there. If you know anyone who has, organizational capacity, time to do it, and desire to speak for the clubs, it would be to be that strong advocate. I hope someone wonderful steps forward. The two at-large members of the Club Development Committee, we meet once a month and we discuss upcoming club business, the upcoming Council of Clubs meeting. I consider the Club Development Committee to be my board for Council of Clubs, much like any club. We vote on we examine and take votes on club complaints filed by and against clubs. And we assist clubs with chartering and rechartering and club things that are happening in their region. So that's what it means to be on the Club Development Committee. We elect 2 of those members at large at the January 18th meeting of the Council of Clubs. Now, regional Club Development Committee members will be elected by their regions. So the Club Development Committee members for North Inland, North Coastal, South, East, and Metro West will be elected at the January 14th reorg meetings of those clubs, of those caucuses. So each of these caucuses is going to have a January meeting where they do a reorg. And at the caucus members vote for a Club Development Committee representative. And, I ask and I hope that when we are electing people at each of these caucuses to be the Club Development Committee representative, that it is someone who is truly invested in the clubs, that has a history with our clubs, has held positions of club leadership, because not all committees are active. Helping direct 55 clubs, that is an active committee. We're not looking for people that are looking for a central committee seat by virtue of sitting on a committee. And I've been grateful that I haven't had that. All of our Club Development Committee members have been active, have been supportive, have been very hardworking. I want to say to those that are on the call today and those that cannot be here, I truly appreciate you all. Every one of these individuals has Indranil, Rob, Hugh, Kira, Christine, Justin, and Deanna. They've helped resolve issues with clubs in their region. They supported the summit. They've helped organize events, inter-club events. It's been an absolute pleasure serving with each and every one of you. And I've heard from a few members already that they are not planning on running again. Like myself, people's commitment changes. This is a 2-year commitment. It's a long commitment. This is a time when it's okay to step back and say, okay, can I continue doing this for the next 2 years? And a number of people have indicated to me that they won't be running. So I hope it's okay that I announce this now. Hugh indicated to me that he will not be running for North Inland. Deanna, it's okay. You had indicated to me as well that you were not planning on running again. And I believe Justin is not planning on running again. So we have at least, Kira has also indicated she's not running again. So we're gonna have some turnover, maybe all turnover. It's just because someone's an incumbent doesn't mean you can't run as well. But I will say that I've enjoyed working with all these individuals, and it's been a good group. There'll be a new group come January. Any questions about Council of Club leadership elections? Okay, next up, upcoming club events. We dealt with this a little bit at the beginning of the meeting. So though we may not feel like celebrating, expect Democratic community members to be looking for solidarity and support this season. I've taken the selection really hard. I know a lot of you have. We worked really hard, and nationally, it's not going to be what we wanted to see, but that makes safe spaces like clubs more important than ever. And I found myself, our clubs grow the most when we're faced with adversity. So I got involved under when George W. Bush, not HW, George W. Bush was president in the Iraq War. We had a huge surge of club interest. Then Obama became president. People thought, oh, they've got it. Club interest went down. Trump became president, club interest went up. So my point is, there are going to be a lot of community members searching for a club, searching for the solidarity. Now is a great time to hold an event, to bring them in the door. And it's good for all of us to find like-minded members. So I am asking you to add your upcoming club holiday events to the club calendar. This is very, very helpful because I found in the past years, this club calendar gets, well, the number of events, not always on the club calendar or not. The holiday events start to pile on top of each other. And come December, those first 2 weekends in December, you're going to have a lot of conflicting club holiday parties. Now, if you're a geographic club, this may not be a big deal to you, but if you're an affinity club, it can become painful. I know that in the past, certain affinity clubs and geographic clubs have gotten together to do a super duper holiday party. I would love it if they did that again, and I would love it if they would invite other clubs to participate. Please let me know if there's an opportunity for clubs to join forces to do a holiday party, because this becomes a lot. They become a lot of conflicting holiday parties. Now, even though I said that, the 2 clubs that I sit on the board of, we have already planned our own in-person holiday party. I have already put them on the board on our club calendar. So if you look here coming up, I have right here on December, where is it? Where is it? I thought I had it on there already. This should be the Blue Dream Democratic Club holiday party. No, here it is. Blue Dream Democratic Club holiday party. And La Voz Democrata is Saturday. So here I am seeing, okay, that needs to be added to the calendar. So add your club parties to the calendar so you can see how many other conflicts you have, right? Because people may be a member of Black and African Women Rise, and they may be a member of Spring Valley Democratic Club, Lemon Grove Spring Valley Democratic Club, for example. There may be crossover. So please add your club holiday parties to this calendar so that you have the ability to see others' meetings when you are tracking this. And this is totally wrong for Labos. Okay. And we have the ability to and you have the ability to see what other club events you'd like to go to. So please, please, please. Right now, we see a lot of normal club meetings. I know for sure that clubs are probably not going to be meeting December 23rd or December 24th. Please cancel these meetings, or better still, move these meetings to where your club holiday event is if you're planning on having them. And if you need help doing that, please feel free to reach out. So any questions about holiday parties or thoughts about holiday parties? If anyone else would like to announce, I know that the Environmental Democratic Club has already spoken about their holiday party. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that one for the Environmental Democratic Club. What was the information? Gary, are you still on the line?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I can't send it. There it is.
Okay.
It's in the chat.
Great. So wonderful. Michelle, your hand is raised.
I wondered, yeah, do you want us to write it in the chat instead of tell you?
Well,
Winner.
no, I'd love it if you'd say it out loud, because again, I mean, there's a lot of people here that may want to go to your holiday party. So now's a great chance to announce too.
This is Kathy Hyatt. I can announce ours.
Okay. Okay.
The Democratic Women's Club Party will be on Saturday, December 14th from 2 to 4 p.m. at the home of Susan and John.
I have an announcement as well, Sonora.
If you could
This
put
is-
that one in there for me, that'd be great because I'm not having any luck editing.
This is Suzanne.
Please put that in the chat, both of you, and then Suzanne, you can speak next.
Okay.
Yes, so Suzanne,
Oh, yeah, we're having our holiday party on December 3rd. And
Okay.
that cancels out our November meeting, which was 2 days before Thanksgiving, and our December meeting, which was 2 days before Christmas. And we will be meeting in the same place at Testa Pesto Italian restaurant. We're going to be just having a good time. We're going to have it's kind of a white elephant a party thing, but it's not exactly that. So it should be fun.
Okay,
Anyway.
great. Wonderful. Okay, anyone else who'd like to announce, and please feel free to be writing this in the chat as well. I'm gonna have to copy it over to the main chat because unfortunately you can't, the way this is set up, we can't, yeah, there's no easy way to text everybody, but please put it in the chat and I will help update these if you'd like. Who else would like to announce? Anyone else have their hand up?
Me, can I,
Okay.
Sonora?
Yes, go for it.
I had started, but yeah. Anyway,
Sorry.
Demco, that's okay. You're fine. Demco, the Democratic Club of Carlsbad and Oceanside, we're having our holiday party on Sunday, December 8th from 5 to 8 p.m. at the lovely home of Janet Lacey, where we had our last 2 fundraising parties.
Oh yeah.
In Oceanside, and we're going to have an ugly sweater contest and a contest for also the elegantly dressed person with prizes and good food and a special cocktail, holiday cocktail, and it'll be a lot of fun. We are charging $25 for tickets, and we're asking people to bring an unwrapped toy for kids for a donation to a couple of different causes. And what's the final thing I wanted to say? Potluck, bring side dishes and desserts.
Yeah.
There's a sign up sheet we have for that. Okay, thanks. December 8th, 5 to 8. Happy holidays.
Okay, please put that in the chat as well. Patty?
Okay. Hi, the Coronado Democratic Club is meeting at the home of Gail and Bob Barden on Tuesday, December 12th from 5 to 7 p.m. for a holiday happy hour.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Please put that in the chat.
Yeah.
Paula?
La Jolla Democratic Club will be meeting January 1st. We did this last year. We avoided December completely, and we welcome in the new year, and it was a wonderful time to do that. Our place is to be determined, but we found that to be a wonderful day to meet.
Wonderful. Yes, as you see, we're already getting a lot of December 7th and 14th. These weekends are going to be very full, so I agree. I know Rancho Bernardo is also doing something in early January for that same reason. Cindy, how are you? I owe you a call back. You sent me a text in the middle of the campaign and
It's okay. Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Cindy Lopez. I'm president of the South Bay National City Democrats here in South area. And we have a Dems Giving on Monday, the 18th at 6:30. Everyone's welcome. Please bring a side or dessert to share. We'll bring the main dish. And it's at the Olivewood Clubhouse. I'll put it in the chat, but it's 541 East 24th Street. National City is a small town, so you can't miss it. And we just hope you can be there. We might have something in December, maybe a white donkey, because elephants are not our favorite. So we'll be sharing that later. Thank you.
Thank you. I wish so badly I could go. It's the same time as our Blue Dream Dems meeting. Unfortunately, we have that conflict now, but I hope it goes wonderfully. Okay, David Fisher, and please put that in the chat as well. David, you're on mute.
Thank you. Point Loma is having their holiday party on December the 8th at 1 in the afternoon at Angela Hawkins' home on Devonshire Drive and Sunset Cliffs. It's going to be finger foods, wine and beer. And Lori Saldana will be there giving a short presentation on something relevant to the election. I left it up to her. She's a great speaker and a great thinker. And she had composed something about the origins of the electoral college, which people might find of interest. It has a lot of racial background to it. Anyway, that's our announcement. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Please put that in the chat. Please write this in the chat. Okay, Jim? You are on mute, Jim.
Oh, hi.
You're good now. Mhm.
I wanted to bring up a couple more ideas. Is now a good time, or is there a later time where this is not actually a club announcement right now?
Let's wait a little bit. Let's get to this first, because yeah, I
Thank
want
you.
to make sure that we do this first. Gary?
I actually have a question about the calendar.
Yes.
If we have our associated email with you, if we put it in our calendar, will it show up in that one?
No, no,
So-
we have to add you to the event, and then you can change this just that specific event.
So we just email one of you, anyone on the staff to add it to the calendar, or?
Yes, or you can add it to the calendar yourself when you see the calendar event. When you get that invitation to the calendar event and you accept, you have to accept, first you have to RSVP to the chartered calendar event. And then you can update it to, then you can update the event to change the time, so.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any other events that people would like to announce? So Dave, if you could please put that in the chat. I haven't seen that information yet. Okay, so all of that is great. So, yeah, again, if there's going to be a joint thing, please let us know. Please let us know, and maybe we'd like to participate. So. Okay, last up on this is coping with the election results. Ideas and suggestions from clubs on how we can be there for ourselves and members. I know that Debbie had talked about this. So does anyone have any thoughts about how to support our members after this hard election? So Suzanne?
Well, the number one thing to do when you're struggling with this election is to get active. And one of the things that's going on, which is important to us, is that Rob Bonta, the Attorney General for California, and 13 other attorneys general are and have been for the last 18 to 24 months been preparing lawsuits to go against the Trump, executive orders. And those are going to be fantastic and hard and difficult. And Trump will have to respond to each one of those, and which means it will be taking up a lot of his effort and time. And I think that's one way we can stall what he's going to be doing. That's basically what I have. So we can support those efforts with demonstrations and letter writing and all kinds of things like that. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I know that we have at Lavos coming up, Senator Steve Padilla is going to speaking to our members about how the California State Legislature is going to be fighting back against any attacks from the new national government. So I would encourage people to invite their state legislatures to speak, because obviously the California government is going to be bringing as much of this in-house as possible. So Jim, your hand is raised. Maybe this would be the place to speak.
Good, thank you very much. Our Ramona Democrats Club is meeting Monday night. We're going to talk about resistance. And one of our members has come up with a list of resistance organizations. It's still in development phase, but it's a page and a half long right now. And I wanted to suggest that there be such a thing developed at the county level, What I'm talking about is supposing we have an issue on military or funding or immigration or deportation or whatever topic we're looking for. I know that you have a speakers bureau, which is good, although it doesn't list all those different topics. But if we were just to develop a list of resistance people that we could count on for this or that subject, it would be very valuable, whether those are senators that we should be sending emails to, or local candidates or local officers, local lawyers who are skilled in this or that subject. I'd sure like to know who they are, and I would encourage the county to build such a list, and we'd be happy to help you do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Banerjee?
Thanks, Nara, and thanks for also bringing up this this idea of coping with the election results. One suggestion I would make to everyone is we've got a lot of potential new voters in communities like the API community, in other communities, not just here, but in other spots. So one thing I would suggest doing to everyone, and this may be a long-term thing, is let's get together, let's do some tabling, and let's register folks to vote. And once we have them registered to vote, let's just not send them out in the wilderness. Let's make sure we keep those data on file and talk to them and build those connections with those communities. One of the things that I'm really not happy about is that a lot of Democrats stayed home during this election. And I don't know why they did that in Philly. And maybe we reach out and to some of these other Democratic Central Committees in other states or these other county parties and say, hey, look, let's partner up and be sibling organizations, and not just go out there and not to get the vote out, but let's also build that voter file, that voter block that we have. API is going to be doing that in the next year. We're going to be registering folks to vote. We're going to be doing a lot of voter registration, a lot of education in the API communities. Welcome you all to come in and work with us.
Wonderful. Rob, Howard?
Dr. Banerjee, I love how you think. I want to double down on what he was talking about. Earlier in the meeting, Greg, we were able to celebrate that win. One of the things I'll challenge the board and challenge all of us to think about is that while we continue to focus on how we can grow, how we can move, how we can get better, our foundation is crumbling. And I'll give you an example. There were people who did, if you look at the voter support and how this vote came out, and basically in categories about who voted and how they voted. As an example, we are at risk of losing some of our foundation, and I'm talking about African-American men, because as an example, I've talked to parents and we're working on tutoring and support in some of the schools in San Diego County, where because the population is small, there's always a reason why we can't deal with the fact that their suspensions for the same issue is higher than other students. We cannot forget about the people who have been there for the party because they want to engage. They're already there. We can't forget about them. And to that point about registering people, we also need to really focus. And again, when I say we, this is Rob's opinion, okay? I don't want anybody to feel like somebody's telling me what to do. So when I say we, I'm putting that out there. We have to start listening to communities. As bad as we performed, here's what our potential is. As bad as we perform, we may have flipped 2 cities to Democratic majorities in North County. As bad as we perform, where we have Democratic pluralities in every city along the 78 corridor. We have the ability to not just do what they did in San Diego County, but to do it along our 78 corridor. And once we take care of our base, we'll have power to be able to move out and cover other areas. So I'm challenging folks to let's not forget about who was there for the party as we begin to try to support everybody else. Because I've got parents that don't want to be bothered because they say they get ignored. I've got young people that saying, man, they don't care about me. How do we change that? So, Dr. Banerjee, you are absolutely right. We have this opportunity to expand, but let's do it in a welcoming, loving, caring fashion, because some of the folks that I've been talking to after the election, one comment, and I want to show you how people are feeling. When this person, we were looking at and evaluating data, he was so angry. He said, well, when they come to me to try to help now, I got thoughts and prayers. That's how angry he was about they're asking us to continue to do this. We get forgotten, yet they're going to want us to come try to help and save them. So we have work to do. I think it's possible. But again, we have to be open to meeting people where they are. And I apologize for the length of that, but this is, I'm trying to work up here in North County, and man, it gets tough. So thank you for that time to really share that.
Thank you, Rob. Robert?
Oh, yeah, am I on? Yes. Is it too early to start thinking about getting together with Oregon and Washington and seceding from the, I'm just kidding. The, we had a roundtable at our East Lake Bonita Club meeting, on Thursday night. And, we started just gathering, thoughts and recommendations and putting them on the butcher paper and everything. And so going back to what somebody said earlier, would it be possible for the central committee to set up a page somehow that all the different clubs can start downloading stuff, onto this page that the central committee can look at and pick out the diamonds in the rough and just as an immediate thing to start doing in the short term. And of course, I echo what the previous person said. Our foundations that the Democratic Party has relied on for so long are crumbling. We're not we're not on radio anymore. You can't find anything but conservative stations. Half the people are getting their news from social media, and our stronghold there isn't very strong either. So those are all long-term things at the national level that we really need to start putting effort into to turn all this around. They're even beginning to crowd us out of television. CNN is supposedly going to do going to cut a bunch of people, and the LA Times is supposedly going to fire their entire editorial board. All as a reaction to saying, boy, we got this thing wrong, as if the issue really isn't how do we turn this thing around. So those are my thoughts. Anybody else think that would be a good idea to start a page at the central committee level so that we can all start downloading our ideas? Then we can all share.
I think that would be great. I think that would be great. Someone would like to take it on? That would be wonderful. Okay, Greg?
Yeah, actually, I'm starting to believe, like Robert, that maybe, and also maybe like Trump, about building the wall between the West Coast and the rest of the country. I mean, you got Saturday on the West Coast. So at any rate, I think all these ideas that people have thrown out are so important. And what that means is, and there's an old labor slogan, that is, it comes down to solidarity in these kind of times. And I think those of us in education right now, those of us in the union movement are really focusing on where we can make a difference. And I think the labor movement has a lot to offer in all of these areas. That is the kind of solidarity that we can come together around the concerns, around the people that particularly the Trump administration are coming for, particularly our undocumented brothers and sisters. Those raids that will be taking place, and Trump has made that foremost and his commitments and the people he's naming to his leadership positions inside the government clearly have statements. They're coming after them. I think this is where we need that kind of solidarity. Those of us in teacher unions and in education will be coming together to try and formulate ways that we can protect our kids. If it comes down to refusal to disclose the status of those kids, we'll be doing that. But we're going to need everybody, all of us coming together to do that. We can trust that the Trump administration will overplay their hand. People, yes, have concerns around immigration, but they support a road to citizenship. That's the irony in these election returns. The other thing I think the labor movement can help us do as Democrats, frankly, is to begin to get to talk to working class people. If there's one consistent finding that I find across all these areas, that is the ability to talk to working class people about the issues of concern to them. So for all of these suggestions, yes, but the key is coming together for us to work together. And I particularly hope that we'll come together to work with labor to protect our most vulnerable members of our communities. So it's just a couple of suggestions.
Thank you, Greg. So I'm going to have to get going. It is my daughter's birthday. I promised her I would be done at noon. So if other people would like to continue, if someone can host for a little bit longer, where we have a few more items on the agenda, we have events and other announcements. If anyone has another announcement to give, if that would be possible, Rob, would you mind hosting at this point, since I need to attend to my daughter's birthday party?
No, we got you. You
Okay.
go enjoy your baby.
Thank you all. Yeah, it means a lot to her. It's her birthday day today, and I'm the one home. So thank you to everyone. I look forward to speaking with you in January if I don't see you before that. So I'm going to exit. You're all welcome to continue.
Wish her a happy birthday from us.
Happy birthday to the kiddos now.
Robert, your hand is still up. Did you have another comment? I don't know if Robert hears me.
Yeah, okay. We just lost our technical expert with regards to websites and stuff. But my suggestion was in regards to setting up, if it's possible, I don't, technically, I don't know if it's possible to set up like a poster board that we could just, that the different clubs can just download and put their ideas out there, so that all the other clubs can see all the other clubs' suggestions and about how we move forward. And my thought was that if we're strong about this idea, then maybe they could even vote on it when they meet in January and get it going. But I will volunteer to follow up on that if I can hear some input from the others, if we all think that's a good idea.
I personally am always in support of new ways to communicate, because again, if we're not getting through to people, maybe we need to try something different. I think I can't see everybody's picture, but we all were born by 1980, right? Looking at this group. So we may want to think about how we're communicating, because I'm telling you, being down on the ground with some young people, it's different, but to be honest with you, they're impressive. I mean, it is impressive. Even in their apathy, what they are able to do is impressive, because if there is something they wanted to do or wanted to communicate about, it's pretty trick. To watch them just from a technical perspective, they'll decide in a group they want to meet somewhere. And within 5 minutes, they selected the restaurant, shared the directions, made the reservation, and yet we'll spend 15 minutes trying to talk about where we're going to go and then say who's going to contact everybody. So I think we have to be open to change as well. So anyway, I think Cynthia, you got your hand up. Patty, you were waving, so I don't want to forget folks who wanted to get. We'll put you in the queue, okay? All right.
Ron, I think Rob, I think you're right on track that we have to change. And one of the things that came out of our meeting last Wednesday was both that we need to move deeply into what the youth is doing, but also that we have to get back into our communities, that we weren't listening on a massive scale, both locally and nationally. And we made a commitment that we were going to mirror the process of canvassing, but in a different way, to just knock on our neighbor's door and meet, and then, not ask them to do anything, not ask them to come to a meeting, just get to know people and start the process of listening better. And we're coming back in January with the idea of how do we just get better at community over the next few months, because somehow we missed it in a way that led to a lot of things. I mean, we lost our Democratic majority on our council. And we still have a seat to replace, but we don't know where that's going. So on a local level, on a national level, we didn't do what we needed to do. And so we need to get back to some very basic relationship building. So I'm excited. I agree with everything that everyone's saying, but I think we have to get very, very close to the ground if we're going to get this right. Because if we get too high and too thoughtful, too global, we're going to miss it again.
Thanks, Cynthia. And I would add to what you just said. We have to be willing to hear stuff that we don't want to hear. Because I'm going to tell you, there were people screaming from the hill the underlying issues. Don't worry about it. We raised all this money. We get money doesn't fix it. Money is being used to break it. So just keep that in mind. But all right, Dr. Indro, you're up next.
Oh, sorry. No, and Rob, what you said earlier, I 100% agree with you. I mean, I've been having these conversations in the API community about things that we've missed. And look, some of the seats that we lost up and down the coast, some of these recalls that happened in Alameda County and in Oakland, particularly Alameda County, was because certain things that the API community was saying, we weren't being heard, or we were being pushed aside, or like it was we'll knock your door when we need your vote.
Yep.
But when it comes down to it, no, you folks wait. You folks wait. You've had it good, or things that are said to us, even by elected officials that are, that we've had issues with. So I think the things you were saying earlier are 100% right. We have to have these authentic conversations. And I'm going to be calling you later, by the way. I got some ideas I want to pass you. And I think that we also, and look, I mean, I'm 45, I'm gonna be 46 in a couple of weeks. You're absolutely right. Look, I came up at a different time, different era. We have to meet people with what their needs are. I was at the Tyson fight last night with a couple of buddies talking about, economics, and they were like, yeah, don't tell me about GDP, stock market, inflationary pressures, all that stuff. My grocery bill is now $400 a month, not $300 a month. I had to cancel my Disney Plus account, and now my kid is pissed off with me all the time because they can't watch The Mandalorian. Like little things like that. We got to have these conversations and be able to present what our ideas are and have these honest conversations. And I got to bounce out here, but Rob, I'll give you a buzz a little later today. But the other thing I want to plant in everyone's head here is we also have to look at new media, and the media that is listened to by folks who are in their 20s and 30s. The average MSNBC viewer is 70. The average podcast listener is 35.
Yep.
You know, that number right there, that sobering number, and the issues talked about in your average podcast, could be Rogan, could be PodSave, could be whatever. Those issues are different than the ones being talked about on the traditional medias that we were looking at. So this is going to be that sea change, that change on how we view things. But I think the fundamental point is authentic conversations. And then to your point about the youth, I am praying that there's a young API and I have a who can take over my role and take my spot for me and wants it. We need to develop, and we need to think like almost like baseball GMs in terms of the talent we develop, and in terms of bringing them along, making sure they're safe, making sure that they know, because you know, if something happens, somebody yells at you, I'm here. I got your back. You send them to me. But I'm going to make sure you get your reps in so that when it's your turn to step up, you're stepping up and you're being successful. You're striking out that other player. You're hitting the ball, you know, things like that. We need to do that. So I think this year, I mean, API tries to pick a different theme every year. Last year was unapologetically API. And guess what? We got our community candidate elected. I'm really happy Darshana Patel is going to be in state assembly. I'm thrilled about that. But this next year, it's going to be development, player development. We're going to be having seminars on how to raise funds, how to get earned media, how to get unearned media, how to get yourself on podcasts, how to build capacity, what your thoughts are, social media, like all of these things we need to do. We need to sit down and think about these components. I'm sorry I'm rambling here, but like we need to think about these.
Go ahead, brother.
I appreciate you, man. We need to think about these developmental points and how we develop folks for that next level. You know, the next level, the next group of staffers, the next group of fundraisers. Fundraising, that's going to be something we have to think about because look, armies march on their bellies, campaigns march on money. We're going to have to be thinking about how we get these folks in and how we retain talent. And so player development is going to be our theme this year. And again, let's all work together on this stuff. Let's all figure out how we can build new roads and new bridges to these folks and just have those authentic conversations. So Rob, I got to bounce out. I'll give you a buzz later today, if that's cool.
Oh, absolutely. Appreciate you,
I'll give you
man.
a call.
Love you,
All right,
man.
love you.
Give Pop some love.
Will do. Appreciate y'all. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Okay. David.
Okay, I don't have any answers here, but one of the things I learned from this election is that information sources have changed dramatically in my lifetime. I'm probably the oldest person on this screen right now by maybe 20 years. I posted something a couple days ago on Nextdoor about gas pricing at Costco and how the spread between regular and premium keeps getting broader and broader. And I didn't know why, because my car requires premium, and so I'm a little sensitive to that. Anyway, 24 hours later, last evening, I got an email from Nextdoor telling me I'd had 9,700 views on this thing in the last 24 hours. That's kind of surprised me because I didn't know it'd be that hot a topic. But it occurs to me that the younger set is not looking at New York Times or the Washington Post or LA Times. They don't give a shit about that. They like their podcasters like Joe Rogan or whomever. I don't know who we have in the Democratic Assembly that would be equivalent to a Joe Rogan or anybody else that would draw a big audience on a podcast. But I do find a lot of political meandering on Nextdoor. All you got to do is mention gas prices, and they come out of the woodwork about Governor Newsom or the Democrats, and so forth. I don't know. It seems to me like if the Democratic Party in California wanted to do something big, they would try and get something or support something of their own that would draw like-minded progressives together. It wouldn't have to have a Democratic label on it, but that's where Democrats people like us would know to go. If you wanted to have a decent conversation, and anybody could participate, it wouldn't be limited to progressives. Conservatives could come on. You could have a dialogue in a way that you can't do it most other places. I mean, next door rules say you won't have political dialogues. I mean, per se, although they do get interjected occasionally in comments. But there may be a place where you can go on next door to do political dialogue. I've never looked for it. Anyways, that's just my 2 cents. The traditional methods of information gathering today are just between, I have younger sets of my family, which I argue with incessantly about politics. And I tell them, they want to know where are you getting at? And I tell them that, I was a trained historian. I'm not a historian by profession, but I was a history major in college. So I know about original sources, and I know how to vet things somewhat. I think today's generation, I know I have one nephew who's 63 years old. He manages a very successful company, and he has no clue about the quality of information gathering. It's just ridiculous. And I don't know how you compete with that. But we need to have a platform, I think, where people can come out and voice their, not just their concerns, but their perspectives, and have a real dialogue with other people that maybe have just differing views. And I don't know how you get that started. I certainly wouldn't have a clue how to do that. But I think that might be a valuable resource in the years going forward. People can have dialogue like that, because now it's done on social media, which in itself has issues. If you ever use Facebook or anything like that, or I'm not even on Twitter. I have a Twitter account, but I never use it. But it appalls me to think that in the next 100 years, original sources may become from Twitter accounts, which was, that to me, that's mind boggling, but that's where we're going.
But David,
And
I would. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
go ahead. That's the end of my rant. I'm done.
No, rant is good because you said you don't have answers, but I can tell you the first piece before we get answers is to really effectively do a landscape view of what the questions are. And you hit on some points, Dr. Banerjee hit on some points, because I got to tell you, how many of you have ever heard of Charlemagne the God?
Yeah.
Okay, Charlemagne, I'm trying to tell you, we were telling people, y'all need to listen to him if you want to understand where a younger group of people are getting information, how they view certain topics. And it's so nuanced. So I'm putting ideas in the chat that we want to take back and start vetting out. We do have a foundational group, and those are the clubs. The clubs have flaws, okay, because not everybody's in the clubs and stuff like that. However, it at least gives us a foundation to begin to work from. So we might want to look at providing and developing some trainings and other informational things, but then we have to look at our marketing and how we're getting it out and who's going to show up to see it. So I hear you, David, and I'm going to share with our committee to really, because I mean I've been screaming about this for a while. Your rant is my rant about every other month. So I'm I'm with you. But Patty, I had you. You've been waiting patiently. Let's get to you, and now Kelly's up next.
No, I'm just really in agreement about, well, my first big concern is the lack of information coming from the party. It's, and nothing has come so far. And in the past, when we've had a major major losses like this, nothing comes. And we're all scrambling. I call us at the bottom of the food chain here. And I do really like the idea of pooling our resources, posting what folks are doing, and trainings that are happening, publicizing those in a way where I don't have to go to a calendar. That's
I was going to go before.
to find them. So anyway, that's probably my biggest concern, has been the disappointment for a number of years now with the party, of it not communicating with us, not being clear, not being open, transparent. and not moving in the direction that we've been asking it to move in terms of being more responsive to our base. And so I would, those would be the questions I would put anyone in a position of power is, what the hell are you, clearly you've lost the base, as someone said earlier, and oh, we're here working, and what are we going to do to turn this ship around and reinvent ourselves in a way that does respond to people who feel who don't feel heard. Yeah.
Thanks, Patty. I've been just throwing questions in the chat, not that we're going to answer them now, but I got to tell you, for me, for those who don't know, I spent 30 plus years actually, ooh, man, starting to date myself. Almost 40 years working in nuclear power. And one of the things we would always do is you have to ask questions, you do a 360 view of the questions you ask, because if you only do a 180 view, you got 180 degrees that you actually didn't think about. And then you get into circular, you do a 360 view, but then you actually have to come and make it a circular view. So one of the questions I threw in there, just that we're gonna noodle on later with our groups, is did we lose the base? I put but I should have said, or does the base want what we actually got? So we might want to do a base evaluation. So and let me get to Kelly, because I know you've been waiting patiently. How are you? You're muted, Kelly.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Hi guys. Great discussion. I am really concerned about comments like they're all crazy. This is the guy won the popular vote. This is not a fringe group. And if we don't know why he won, like in our hearts, I don't mean mathematics, I'm wonderful at mathematics, but that isn't the issue. We need to know in our heart why someone would vote for Trump. And if you really don't know that, that is a major problem, because these people had good reason for voting for Trump in their minds, but it's not an education issue. And one of our major deficits is that we don't know how to talk about class, economic class. The fact that Latinos went majority for Trump is, in my mind, not a matter of machismo and sexism, although that does exist, of course, or racism, although that's probably the most important issue in our country overall. But the real reason is there's a lot more Hispanic people, Hispanic Americans in the working class. And the working class voted for Trump. And people under $100,000 voted for Trump. I will caution you that all the exit polls are not a valid source of information at this time. They change after a couple of months because they only include people exiting elections, and they need to be, but we need to look at this, ask ourselves two questions. One, what did we do well, and what can we do better? And that takes the blame off of people, but it also puts the challenge on what can we do, not, I'm all down for I want to just make one last point. I don't know how many of you knew about it, even heard about it. But I worked on the uncommitted vote during the primary in Michigan and Wisconsin. The uncommitted vote was people who wanted to send delegates to the DNC that were not committed to any candidate. And it was done over the issue of Gaza. And that wasn't a poll, okay? It wasn't a friggin' poll. It was an actual vote. 100,000 people in Michigan and almost 60,000 people in Wisconsin voted for uncommitted. 100,000. And if you were shocked by the election results, I gotta say you're living in a bubble, because at least you should have known that it was close. And it wasn't going to be randomly close, like sometimes close for Kamala and sometimes close for Trump. These things aren't random; they're interconnected. The reason why people in Michigan voted for Trump is the same reason why people might vote for Trump in North Carolina, and it has to do with, in my mind, we're losing the working class. Our party represents upper middle class, college educated people, to their mind, better than we represent working class people. And we need to teach her. And one more thing, sorry, another rant, I'm afraid. But we need to not talk in terms of educating people. We need to talk in terms of listening to people, because mostly people know what you're trying to teach them. They know Trump has all kinds of problems. They know that. It isn't that they're any more ignorant than you are. It's that they set their priority on improving their economic situation. And when cost of food, friggin' food, is still 20% higher than it was before the pandemic, people are going to vote on that issue. So, summary, we need to listen to people rather than educate them. I mean, do both, obviously, but do a lot of listening. We need to try and understand in our soul why someone would vote for Trump, and not dismiss them as crazy or authoritarian or racist or sexist. They had a reason for what they did, and a respectful person listens to that. And third, we need to learn how to talk about economic issues a whole lot better than we're talking about them now. Thanks. And also,
Thanks,
I would
Kelly.
like to help on that chart, on putting together the chart. I've been doing a lot of work on a standardized political issue registry, and I'd like to help out on that. Thanks.
Thanks, Kelly. I think, David, you're back up.
Just some views on thinking about American politics is like looking at a big onion and peeling it back. There are so many layers that have affected the election. Region by region, it's not all the same issues, I don't believe. California, actually, it's interesting. Both coasts are fairly blue. Both coasts are fairly successful economically. There's a lot, there are very dynamic regions. You drive across the central. I've taken several car trips to road trips, you call them, to Indiana in the last 5 years. And every time I go across Texas and New Mexico, I'm reminded about how harsh some of those plains states are for people that live there. I cannot believe some of the stuff that I see. And people, but there's, I guess, family and connections. I don't know I don't know what the influences are, but something keeps people living in those dire straits, as I would call, for no other reason than they love somebody, I suppose, that lives there. But you come to California, and it's like we're in a different country. I do believe California, Southern California, is becoming a Gold Coast of the United States. Really, I mean, with the real estate prices and so forth. But everybody is not living the life that we're living out here, and I don't have a high life. I have a million. I have $1 million house in Claremont, which is crazy, but this is what they're doing now. It means nothing to me except for my estate. I don't have the cash in my hands. But I do enjoy I enjoy life in the Southwest and then particularly on the coast. But so you have the economic influences and parts of the land, but you've got Fox News, which is just broadcasting manure, as far as I'm concerned, 24 hours a day to a huge portion of the population. I mean, it is by all accounts the most watched news source in America. I don't understand why, but that's the way it is. I had a surprise one day. I was in Chicago at Union Station waiting for a train. I was on first class, so I went to the Metropolitan Lounge, which was their first class lounge, and here's a big screen TV with none other than Glenn Beck. I thought, what in the world? Who put this up here? Somebody had the gall, or I don't know who was responsible. Maybe anybody in the waiting room can go up there and change this channel, but I didn't feel comfortable changing it back to something else. But it just kind of drove home to me how pervasive this influence is throughout our society. And I don't know how you combat that. We have alternatives, but they're not chosen alternatives by many people. So
you know what, David, I've traveled and I've been traveling a lot, and I got to tell you, I was at one hotel and I literally told them, I'm gonna take our entire crew out of here if this is what we got to watch on TV, because they had it on in the lounge area or the lobby area. They had it on at the restaurant, at the bar, and I told them, I said, I told the man, I said, let me see the manager, and you know, it's about having a conversation with them, and I said, I'm trying to figure out, I don't know what the process is for how you decide what you got, but you know, this network that you're showing had a almost $800 million lawsuit against them for lying to people. Now you can watch what you want, but I personally want to at least get a fair shake at it. And on the other piece about most watched news, I'm finding that if you take what people are watching offline, not on the mainstream media, and we've been talking about it, that the numbers are actually bigger there, with the amount of people that have they watch certain podcasts and they do other stuff. So alternative communication is a huge deal, and that's what I'm always trying to figure out. That's why I like my daughter and her friends. Oftentimes, is just kind of listen to them and see what's important to them. And it is, back to Kelly's point, I'm like, how do I get them out of my house? Because they can't afford, they want to live here, but they can't afford to live here. We alternate who's responsible for purchasing dinner.
Yeah.
Well, you can look at what you're gonna eat that night based on whose turn it is to buy. I mean, it's little things like that that I think make a difference. But I'm gonna get to Jim real quick, because Jim's been waiting patiently for a while.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm new to this. I'm the Ramona Democrats guy, and I'm still trying to figure out what this is all about and having a great time doing it. But I was kind of shocked at this whole meeting. I very much wanted to hear what we can do about our loss in the Democratic Party and how we can reform and what can we do to stand up to Trump and all those kinds of things. And I was shocked that we heard a lot of discussion about what goes in column A and what goes in column B and why we need this form and that form. That's not what I came here for. I sat here for 2.5 hours, and I don't think it was very good use of my time. I don't know how I change that, but I guess I start by asking for some changes, and maybe you guys are the right people to talk to. I don't know, but I can certainly tell you that I am frustrated. I was shocked at the election results. Not only was I shocked at how it turned out, but I was shocked because I didn't know I had predicted a totally different outcome. Why was I so wrong? I don't know why I was wrong. I need to learn, and so do we all. So it didn't happen today, and I'm sorry. That's all I got.
Well, Jim, I would say I hear you. I would also say trying to find the solutions and what we're going to do. Folks don't know there was a statewide meeting at the same time as this meeting where they were actually working on that very thing. So I was kind of double dipping with that. And what we'll do is we'll get that out, start getting that. And one of the things we want to do is those groups that are working on answers, we'll make sure we communicate that out. And what we also want to do is make sure you've got contacts that you can connect to directly for your questions. Some other clubs that are also trying to get, because I don't think we have our caucuses, you know, the North Coastal, Southern, West, but even regionally inside the clubs to start working on those answers. Because I think part of the frustration is a lot of people don't have answers because it is so nuanced and complicated. Because I was frustrated throughout the election process because the people I was listening to told me that this was the result we were going to get. And yet it wasn't breaking through. So for
Rob,
me, yeah, go ahead, Jim.
I think there's 50 some clubs in the San Diego County, right?
There's a lot.
And there were less than half of those on this meeting today. That's a problem right there.
We can start putting a list together because there are a number of engagement issues. Now, I will say a lot of people after the election, those who poured their heart and soul into it, don't even really want. I still have people who don't even really want to talk to anybody right now.
I know.
And I want to respect that, you know, but
Trump wants us to do that.
correct.
I'm going back on mute.
No, you're nailing it. Again, there's studies that show when you use fear and negativity, those who lean more progressive tend to vote less. Those who lean more conservative are more likely to vote with those tactics. So that's why they do them. They know who they're turning out. There's a lot of science behind emotional, how people are emotionally. And historically, I had someone ask me why I'm not more upset. And I said, well, first of all, it's not that I'm not upset. I just grew up in Tennessee. And in Tennessee, we learned how to vote for, I mean, we literally had an election one year where there was a sheriff that was awful towards the African American community. His opponent was the leader of the local Ku Klux Klan. So I got to choose between two candidates that I knew was going to be awful. And it's not saying that that's what with this election, but when you have been down, the one thing I've always learned is, and this is how we grew up. And I told somebody, you know, it might not be appropriate thought process for some people, but I'm like, man, if you're taking me out, I'm not going to be the only one going out. So we fight. And in that election, well, what we did was we said, well, we chose the sheriff because the sheriff at least had a justice department that we might be able to do something with. The guy with the Ku Klux Klan, we don't have as much ability to control any of his actions. So what I'm saying in that is we have to figure out what we can do and how we do it. And we'll get those resistance groups together or get that information out because that's what's going to help. I'll tell you, I just get frustrated is why people got to wait till we get our butts kicked to want to get fired up about resistance when the evidence is already there. That's the part that I'm trying to struggle through. Yeah, and Kelly, because I've been on meetings where people will listen and Kelly's trying to tell them and they don't get it. So we have to figure out, how do we get people to get it? If we're going to make progress, how do we get people to get it? I'll get off my, because I had a 12 o'clock I was supposed to be into, but I'm not gonna worry about that. Cynthia, you got Cynthia and then Robert, and if y'all don't mind, I'm gonna need to close out because we were supposed to be done.
I'm
And
ready to go
can I
too.
just tell the gentleman that usually this group has a lot more substance and a lot less filling out of forms. That
Yeah.
is not the normal topic here.
Yeah.
If this is your first time, that would give you a wrong impression of this group.
This is only my second or maybe third time at one of these meetings, so it's not a very big database, but this was a very important time to discuss something else besides forms. So
You're spot
anyway,
on.
enjoyed talking with all you guys. I'm going to knock off. I've got something else I need to do.
All right, Jim, and just remember, keeping the clubs active is why we spent that. Oh, no problem. That's why we did it. We want to keep everybody active so they can participate. But we'll be in touch, man, because I appreciate what you're doing, especially in the rural parts of the county.
Yeah.
Cynthia, you want to go, and then we'll try to get close to wrapping up.
Spot on. Our timing, the way this thing is laid out, makes no sense. All of this stuff where the chartering comes after elections, the way that they've got us filling out forms and then they have to change in January, it makes no sense. And what it does is just puts the clubs in a position where they're scrambling when we should be focusing on our communities. I think the whole thing is upside down. I think the clubs are not given the opportunity to perform at the level they could, because it feels like we're on the base of the pyramid when we're the closest people to the voters. And yet our voice is quieted at the central committee all the time.
Wow.
And very often I think we have intel that they're not listening to, and then they're making choices. And then we tell them that's a terrible idea. I absolutely feel like my community has been disenfranchised over and over again in the last 2 years at the Central Committee, at my caucus. And then things happen, and then we bear the burden of it. And then I'm like, well, I know you want us to participate. I know you want us to donate. I know you want us to be in other involved things, but it starts to feel like you want our feet, you want our fingers, but you don't want our voice. And so I am, and I'm not the only one. I have people peeling away because they feel like their voice has been stripped. And I'm trying to go, no, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Then we have the election and they're going, look, it happened. And it's very hard for me to go, well, there was this dynamic and that dynamic in the national. No, it wasn't. We saw it coming. We told them it was going to happen. And it happened. And so I think there needs to be a massive restructure. And I don't want the Council of Club to be a whole bunch of pretty presentations. I want it to be strengthening the club's impact on the larger organization. I want it to be give us our voices back. That's my perspective, but that's where I'm at.
No, I'm typing, so
okay. Can I say something now? And if I can put a wrapper on this?
Yes.
Okay. Especially about what Jim is still on. Jim.
Yes, sir.
I was disappointed in the election results. I was not shocked. Okay. So here's the thing though. There's reason for hope, because for the midterm elections in 2 years, because one of the people at our club was saying, we need to be a lot in better shape in 4 years for the next election. And I'm going, no, 2 years, Trump is going to hand this a silver platter, because he's going to be Trump, which means he's going to be doing a bunch of stupid stuff.
Yes.
And reminding people why fired him for, 6 years ago or 4 years ago. At that point, it'll be 6 years ago in the midterms. But we can't just take back the House and the Senate and think we're back on the throne again, because as we've been discussing, we can see where the cracks are that we need to fix, the media thing, the education thing, all these things. We need to be in a place where, we're not going to be doing the same thing 4 years from now. And she only lost by, when all this debt is done and said, she's only going to end up losing the popular vote by maybe 2.5 million to 3 million. So we got knocked down, but we didn't get knocked out. And I just want to remind people of that. And as far as the Central Committee, there's the newly elected representatives and everything. They don't take their seats until January. I just wanted, to address Cynthia's concern. We do have a chance to turn this around at the Central Committee as well. I believe we're going to have more progressive people in the seats, and I think they will listen to our suggestions. With that, I need to cut out and do things.
Yeah. Thanks, Robert. Thanks everybody for hanging on. What I would say is, let's create environments where we can communicate, we can listen, we can train, we can develop, but we have to be okay, or how I talk to young people, be comfortable being uncomfortable. Because that's when critical thinking can occur. That's when true evaluation of self can occur. We're not doing that in the party. I will tell you, because
we need an evaluation committee that starts with actual measurable things, that doesn't include just how many we won, but how many we won that we wouldn't have won if we didn't do what we did. You narrow it down, we're not evaluating what we do. There's no evaluation criteria, much less than evaluation. And every single chair has an incentive to say rah, 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 because they're the chair. They don't want to say we didn't do well. And so nobody is saying, how could we do better? Nobody is saying that in a structured evaluation criteria. It's hard to measure how you did if you really do it honestly. And so we need to put an evaluation committee, and not just for every 4 years, every single time. We need to start by setting set criteria for saying goals, maybe from our petitions and platform, and measuring how far along did we get on any of those resolutions. Did any of those resolutions actually get adopted by any city, or things like that, not just how many people we turned out. I just want to say we need an evaluation system.
And I think so. And Cynthia put that last icing on top of that. We're going to capture the chat. We're going to start looking at that. I would say, as we're moving forward, folks, keep speaking up. Keep speaking up. Okay? Because this is what we need, and we'll go from there. But I also need to get out of here. You guys get the award for hanging in there. So I got folks waiting on me. They've been waiting on me for an hour. Like, dude, would you come on here?
I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to you, Rob, for moderating this and keeping it going. This was a valuable component for me of the whole meeting today. I wish we had more opportunities for discussion like this amongst each other. A lot of good ideas come out that don't get heard otherwise.
And for those, David, thank you. And for those who don't know much about podcasts, what we just had is why people like those podcasts, because they get into the nuance. That's why young people we can say what we want about young people, but I'm going to tell you, I get so impressed by them even in the midst of what I view as apathy, because they communicate differently than us.
Yeah.
But when we get into the real nitty gritty about discussing things, trust me, they've thought about a lot.
So when are you starting your podcast, Rob?
Oh, don't look. Now you're giving me work. I'm trying to learn right now. I'm trying to learn. We should do one though, seriously.
We
Yeah.
need our own sexy, interesting, dynamic podcasters because they own the airways right now. And we have interesting people too who are fun and dynamic and have provocative ideas. They're just not out there. And
podcasts
space.
and podcasts are usually not that expensive to start. So I've got got some young people. I'll ask them about it on what we need to do. One of the guys that helped, y'all know Jimmy Figueroa was running for city council in Oceanside, right? One of the folks he brought on early on is like a YouTuber with, he's got so many followers that he makes enough money to hire staff. So we need to connect with them.
I'm thinking that this would make a great program presentation for any club. I'm thinking about for my club.
Yeah.
I'd like an introduction to podcasting. I have never sought out podcasts. I don't know do they act like this? Or I always imagine somebody sitting in a microphone and you're listening without watching, or maybe there's no interaction, but maybe there's a lot of interaction which I'm not aware of. I don't know. That's what I'd like to find out.
Let me see if I can. Yeah, I'll ask Jimmy to see, because he's got some podcaster friends and stuff, because there are a number of different types. There are ones where it's just two people on the microphone, you're just listening. There are other ones that have the camera and they view it, and you can either watch it or you can listen to it. So that would be a great intro to podcasting.
But can you also participate?
Some you can, like the one Charlemagne the God, the one I was telling you about.
Yeah.
People call in and stuff like that. But as they get bigger, it's like trying to call into your favorite sports talk show. It's harder to get through. But people can participate.
And some of them have both a conservative and a liberal speaker, so you get to hear the discussion between it, which I find very valuable, rather than somebody just pounding away on one point of view,
Okay. I'm going to have to leave the meeting here, but this has been a great afternoon. Thank you all for.
I appreciate you. And we actually, I just realized they still are recording all this. So that conversation is available. We'll get with Sonara and with Maral, and she may be in the background still checking it out. But thank you all. And don't let discouragement be the driver. Because honestly, we can get Congress back. There's ways for us to do it.
We've done this before. We can do it again.
Exactly. Just like they've gotten better, we ought to be getting better.
Everybody likes a good comeback story. This could be a great one.
There you go. We're gonna let that close, because I don't think we get much better than that.
I'm not seeing where to save the chat on here.
They do it. It's the system will hold it.
Yeah, the chat will save automatically.
Yeah, because it won't. They have controls with the county party one. So I'm gonna email Sonara and Maral to get the chat.
Okay, and then send it out, or
send it out. Yeah, okay. We know the ones who hung on. Y'all get the pluses. I'll see you guys. I gotta run. Y'all take care.
Great job, Rob. Great job.
Oh, thanks.